Hi fam, it's Dylan's mum Deborah. This is Dyl and Friends.
It gives you a back rub and says, you know, you're going well, Brian. Oh, it's special.
Get comfortable being uncomfortable. Just keep showing up and find a way.
Cam was so nervous he couldn't swallow water.
Handed him a sheet of paper with 6 names and said, Chief, we've got to cut these 6 blokes.
Wow, shut up. I've just been barbed by a stingray, mate.
I'm just yelling, oh, you saved my life, you saved my life, you saved my life, thank you, thank you.
I spent the last, I think it was a couple of weeks in jail.
The deepest, darkest moments often bring about our biggest highs.
Emma Murray.
Dylan back.
How are you, my friend?
I am good.
2023?
I know, first episode.
First episode of that.
Okay, I'm just stopping it right here.
I was going to stop and say, you go first.
I know, you go.
Yeah. Okay,
No,
I was going to say,
host.
like, our relationship, we're just such good mates, aren't we?
I don't want to talk about that.
Okay.
I want to talk about what I wanted to open with because it's important, more important than that.
Okay, I don't know what's more important than that, but that's it.
I feel like we need to start this podcast with full disclosure to your audience about the intention of this episode.
That changed about, I gave you maybe 72 hours notice of changing the intention, yes.
Yeah, so what were we supposed to be doing right now?
A podcast. Mm-hmm. Good chat.
Yes.
Yeah, so we were meant to be doing a podcast. You said to me last year you'd like to do a podcast interviewing me.
Yes.
And I said that would be great, just not right now.
No, that's not what you said. I said I would like to do a podcast where you were the guest on your own show because your show is based on this premise of having an intimate relationship with your audience and you bring these incredible guests in and you facilitate incredible conversations. But they don't know, other than your funny stories, they don't really know you. So
yeah, I think they might know a little bit about me.
Oh, no, of course. Yes, I do.
They know a little bit about me, but I agree. It's one of those things I found, and I was thinking about it coming in. I'm obviously a deep overthinker on a lot of things, and we'll talk a lot about that today. But for me, I was like, well, how weird is it for the first episode of the year if I'm saying, hey guys, here's a big pump up. I got Emma Murray, my favourite person on the show, but she's interviewing me. Like that would just be a little bit weird. I thought it was a bit like egocentric.
So, well, let me tell you how it panned out for me. Yeah. So you call me and you say, I'm chickened out. I think your words were, I'll just look like a complete flog if you interview me. And so I hang up and I say to my husband, oh, Dyl's, pulled the pin on me interviewing for the first episode. And he goes, well, what is he going to do then? And I said, well, he's going to interview me. And he goes, you again? And I was like, oh, my gosh, that doesn't fill me with much confidence. And he's like, well, I would have thought the audience would be tired of that by now.
No, they're not tired of that.
So then that afternoon I go up to Rebel Sport to buy some socks. I haven't bought socks for like 20 years. I don't ever buy socks.
For yourself?
Yes, my kids had taken all my socks. I go to Rebel Sport. This lovely guy serves me and gets all excited. He's like, I'm a Dylan Buckley fan.
Wow.
So he's excited to see me because of my connection to you. So he's really excited to serve me because I know you. And I was a little bit pent up by the fact that you had just pulled the pin on our great podcast idea. So I said to the random guy in Rebel Sport, well, you would have heard Dyl as a guest on his own podcast, but he just pulled the pin on me today. And instead he's interviewing me. This guy looks so crestfallen. Like he just looked like shattered. And you know what he said to me? That's okay. I'll still listen.
Oh, well, how nice is that? No.
Like this sympathy vote for me.
No, it's not a sympathy vote. You know that, Em. We have a great relationship. As I said, we're like good friends now.
Yeah.
Like we chat all the time, don't we?
Yeah.
We're cool friends.
We are.
Yeah, okay. Well, you weren't really looking at me. You were like, No, we are.
I was just still processing the fact that you're setting me up to look like I send you text messages saying, hey, can you interview me?
No, that's not it at all. We know we do the Dyl and Friends Best and Fairest of the year. Every single, and Sam will be nodding his head to this, their favourite part is to start the year off with a bit of Dyl and Em at the start of the year. So I think together we can work on it. Okay. We'll definitely do the interview one later in the year. And we'll move on. But I think, I think for me, I need a bit of Emma Murray in my life right now. I know everyone else does. So it's been good. But how have you been anyway? Did you listen to Will's episode? For those out there who know, Will Murray's mother, Emma, is our friend of the show, had his podcast last year.
Yeah.
Have you had a chance to have a listen yet?
It's not that I haven't had a chance, that I'm too, I'm now a chicken. I'm too scared to do that. So Will has had incredible feedback around that podcast. Yeah. But for me as a parent, it's a bit like putting my head in the sand. If I don't know what he's really thinking and feeling, then I can't experience pain or emotion around that. So I can, pretend that everything is fine if I don't have to really hear his inner thoughts. Now, some people might judge me on that they can do what they want to do when their child is in that situation. But for me, disassociation works really well, which is me sitting outside of the space. Any therapist right now is like shaking their head, it means that I haven't dealt with it and I haven't processed it and everything else, maybe, possibly. But I haven't listened to it. I really want to, but I don't want to hear the details of the beach because I don't have a picture in my mind of what it looked like when he had that accident. So I can't go back into that memory. So that's a bit I'm avoiding.
I can only imagine and completely understand your take on it all, but I think you would be completely impressed and proud of what a incredible kid he is, and how he has a great perspective of what's happened and how he's using it for everything better and a lot to come.
It was his 21st birthday on Australia Day and he had a big party that you were invited to.
I was in Noosa, unfortunately.
You got an invite. I had to scrounge and have an all-in brawl with him to get an invite, as his mother who brought him into the world. But the speeches were incredible. He had multiple of his friends speak, and just the overwhelming theme was Will's ability to connect to people and help others and really bring that strength to other people. So, I think as a parent, you look at what your kid has achieved when they're 21, what accolades, what courses, what uni degrees. But I was super proud on that night, that's for sure.
For anyone who hasn't had to listen to that episode as well, number 174 with Will Murray, please go back and have a listen, and you'll be in more context of the story. But absolutely unbelievable. Super proud of Will, and look forward to having him back in the studio this year. I know he's a busy boy, so we're going to get him back in. As we said, we've moved on. We've shaken hands, and we'll negotiate our next one that time. Since last year, so we chatted. I would like to make this a bit of a reunion every year. We just catch up and set the year up, and it's because everyone else loves it, and so do I. Last year we spoke about...
Except the Rebel Sport kid and my husband and Dave Asprey in the car who nearly...
Except for those ones.
Fell over.
Do you remember what we spoke of last year? No, you don't. So I'm going to remind you. We spoke...
I've done my homework.
The two main things were stress cycles.
Yes, okay. That's a good thing to talk about.
Definitely. Could you give us a quick recap of what a stress cycle is?
Yes. So a stress cycle is when our unhelpful thoughts drive these unhelpful feelings that drive unhelpful behaviours. Now, notice I didn't use the word positive or negative. I didn't say they're bad or they're negative. They're just thoughts and feelings and behaviours that are not helping us. So, obvious ones are sitting on social media. Social media can be used in a really positive way, and I want to talk about that today at some point. But when we're just scrolling mindlessly and it's, 10 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock at night and we're in bed before we go to sleep, that's not very helpful. And so this then drives these really unhelpful feelings in our body that then drive, these sort of feelings and thoughts that keep us in the stress cycle. So what should be a time of recharge and rejuvenation when we're lying in bed about to go to sleep, we're actually getting stuck in this stress cycle and we never get a break from it. And so perhaps it's like I walk the dog and I'm having these thoughts of like replaying conversations I've had with people during the day and things I haven't done. they're making me feel very tight and anxious. And now when I'm walking the dog, I'm also trying to read emails on my phone. That, rather than an activity which could break that stress cycle and recharge me, is now keeping me trapped in that stress cycle and is perpetuating that burnout. And I'm never, ever getting that recharge that I need.
Breaking them again, what's just the quickest way to break a stress cycle?
There's a number of different ways, but we want to break that stress cycle in a way that we are taking our nervous system out of that fight and flight and danger, danger, danger into this rest, recharge, recovery mode. So we can't be running away from a tiger we can't be fighting that tiger and sitting in our cave and recovering at the same time, because we're wired like cavemen, remember. We can either be in fight mode or run mode, escape mode, or relax and heal mode. So anything that puts us into that rest, digest, healing mode. So breath work, which we want to talk about today, touch, a good hug, grounding, getting our feet on the ground, being out in nature, cold water, actually, infrared saunas, warm water, all of these things are going to put us really quickly into that rest and healing mode.
How good is it as well? I don't know if this is like actually a proven fact, but for me, I know the physical side of things is really important, and we'll touch on this stuff later, but it doesn't mean that it necessarily works straight away, does it? You've got to like bank up the work of, being active or sweating and those like endorphins, they sort of build up over time. It's not just an instant release. Is that right?
Well, yes and no. So instantly I can take my system from fight and flight into rest and recover. Yep. So we can do an exercise right now which involves turning your head and holding your arms in a particular way. And what will happen pretty quickly, within, a minute of doing it, you're going to either yawn or you're going to swallow, which is a sign that I've now switched over into that rest nervous system, And so we can do that instantly, but if I don't spend any time there, I'm not really recharging and rejuvenating. Now, what you're talking about, getting my heart rate up and sweating, which is releasing, dopamine and all these different things that make us, endorphins that make us feel good. Yeah, we need to get our heart rate up for that. We need to, be working for that. So there's, we have to start understanding that there's different tools for different needs. So, journaling is not the only way to, process all these unhelpful thoughts. Meditation is not the only way. Getting our feet in the ground is not the only way. We need to know what works for us and what do we actually need. Am I anxious, or do I have poor sleep cycles? Or am I really down and unmotivated, or am I overwhelmed? What's going on for me? And then let me bring the right tool to
I was such a big victim of going, oh my God, I found breathwork, that's going to fix everything problem I have. And it's just not the case. It's like, I think I had a massive epiphany over the break going, it's not one thing, it's having like 50 things on a tool belt and then knowing when to implement which one.
Absolutely. Like, here's a really great example. Meditation can be incredible now there's a whole lot of different meditations. So if you are a meditation expert listening to this, I'm just talking about general, like if I sat and I closed my eyes and I did a form of meditation where I was controlling my focus. Maybe I was holding my focus in between my eyes on my third eye, or perhaps I'm holding my focus introspectively on something going on in my body, or I was holding my focus on something external to me, a particular noise or something I could see. That meditation is going to do an incredible job at building my focus. And sometimes if we do that in the right way, I would not recommend you do that before bed. It can actually stimulate this focus. I think every athlete should be using that as a tool to train their ability to stay in the moment. But if you're anxious and you're getting tripped up by anxiety rather than getting tripped up by being distracted, then you're far better to bring a breath routine into your day and have 5 minutes of a particular breath routine, or start your day with a breath routine. That is going to do more for your anxiety than closing your eyes and holding, your focus on your third eye.
I've learned a little, talking about the tool belt, and you can pick these up from anywhere, right? Like, they're just like these little parts that we do. And I picked one up from a conversation I had with my brother-in-law when we were going on a run. And when I was feeling really anxious the other day, I've been anxious lately, and there was this one thing I learned, and it was about a certain breath work that had resonated with me like really well. And it was the one where you do like the really deep breath, then a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then you release.
Cyclic.
It was
sighing breath
It's the
work.
first one that's like really just clicked with me. And it's probably not one that you use in all the time, but it's more to just instantly be able to break you out of feeling really shit.
Yeah, so you've stolen my thunder because we.
Is that what it was? Oh no.
We are going to talk
Yeah,
about
we
that. We're going to talk about that today, and we'll actually take people through how to do that breath work.
Definitely. Well, let's get into it then. Let's start your because as I said, we flipped the episode on its head, and I put the producing back on you and said, "Sorry, here's 72 hours notice. Bring up some content." We're going to do a bit of a workshop.
We are, yeah.
I like
this
it.
came about through a conversation with you and I.
Yes.
Did you tell me that this is what you wanted for? You told me what you wanted for this year. Do you remember what that was?
Discipline.
Yeah. So explain that. Why did you say that?
So I noticed a while ago, since leaving footy, I remember, and this isn't just about drinking or going out or anything like that. It's more just discipline in everything I do, whether it's eating, knowing I have to go to the gym, knowing I have to relax, or just being present, whatever it is. I found that it's very easy if you don't have something to ground you, like going to training or something like that. Like I'd go out on the weekends, but no, I can't drink. I've got training on Monday. Can't do this. I've got training on Monday. Can't go to this party. I've got footy on the weekend. And it wasn't necessarily because I had footy, but it was a good excuse that I didn't have to do the things I didn't want to do.
Yep.
And this, over probably the last couple of years, I found that I just am going to things not wanting to be there, but just because of, one, I feel like I have to, and two, the discipline of just making the harder call on things I just don't make, whether that's, having a few beers when I really don't want to be drinking. I might even have a headache and can't be bothered. I know I've got a big week, but it's the fear of saying no to doing something, or I'm too, in my head, I'm not as disciplined to be able to make those decisions.
So when you say that to me, a lot of people, so many of your listeners right now have similar things going on for them. Maybe they want to be more disciplined, or maybe they want to be more controlled with their impulses. Like 2 out of my 4 children have come to me saying they have ADHD based on TikTok.
I think we all do.
Like everyone is thinking, oh gosh, ADHD.
we have a good laugh about that in the office. It's just like, I think we all have ADHD, don't we? That's just
we
like
are
life.
all on a spectrum for sure. And particularly athletes, so many athletes come to me with things either around obsession or attention control. It's like, what do you think's making you so good at, hitting a cricket ball all day, every day? Like if you don't have some level of that wiring, you're not going to be great athlete. But so a lot of your listeners resonate with this. And where we tend to go to is at the start of the year, we go, I want to change, I want to become more disciplined, or I want to have better impulse control. And so we just expect that by saying that, then, that's going to happen, and I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it. But what we're forgetting is that the output of our behaviours, how we behave in that moment, is a product of what we are thinking and what we are feeling, and actually more what we're feeling than what we're thinking. So 80% of our messages go from our body up to our mind. So our body's feeling a particular way after a hard day at work, or someone's frustrated us, or someone said something. Our body is responding, then our brain thinks something, and then we just act on it. Now, for you, that might be just having a beer. Now, what could have been going on for you was that you, in that situation, felt a little bit uncomfortable, felt like, people are watching me. You're having thoughts around, I don't want to be the party pooper, or I don't want people to judge me. So you have a beer. And so it's not just making the decision to stop having the beer or stop saying that thing and reacting a particular way. It's actually understanding the thoughts and behaviours around that, and having a clearer picture of how I want to behave, like actually looking at the whole thing and having a plan around it. So I was telling you that typically my approach to the year is that I get a word for the year. Now, I've had words like light and action, and, I think the word over January for me was me, which to me meant putting myself first, my own needs. Here's how I normally find my word for the year. So if I'm helping a client, I do this great visualization, and, they go into their subconscious mind. I know this lady. She's saved in my phone under the name of Guru Vicky. She is, her last name, I can't even pronounce her last name, Vicky She's a chiropractor who does a particular form of therapy called N.A.T, which they use a lot in America. I've sent a hell of a lot of athletes to her. She does a lot of Broadway production, theatre, what do you call them, performers. It was Rob Mills, the Australian Idol dude who sat next to me at a charity function, went after Will's accident and said, you need to see this lady. Will sees her. So N.A.T is basically where your body, and this is what I want to talk about today, that your body holds all of these feelings and this trauma and it's stored in there. And this is what's re-triggering us and, leading to us taking certain behaviours at certain times. Really great for athletes who are injured. They've done a hammy. Now every time they're on a lead, they pull up, even though their hammy is fine. Then once they've done some work with Vicky, that trauma stored in their body and that fear in their body is released. And so now that they're able to go on the lead. So typically every January I ring her. She always has incredible words for herself and I sort of steal them. That's how I come up with my word.
Is it physically she removes them or is it like, did you see her physically or is it like?
Yeah, so this is where anyone I send to her, I'm like, don't judge it, just do it. Yeah. She uses some kinesiology to muscle test different responses to particular questions she asks you. And I know you're going to go, I still don't know what you mean, but she'll ask you questions around certain incidences in your life and she'll use muscle testing to find out where the trauma is stored and then she'll use particular tapping in places in your body. Now, I know that just sounds
It doesn't. I actually find that sick.
So woo-woo. But in America they use it a lot or overseas they use it a lot. I have sent athletes who are not sleeping well, are not eating well, particularly around finals time, and they have a session with her and they drive straight to a cafe to eat. It's effectively what I was saying, turning that fight and flight off. So great. I've sent that many kids who have had anxiety over COVID to her because it's in our body. We keep talking about this mental work like it's just going on in our head, but most of it is in our body and it's sending messages up to our mind, and then these thoughts and feelings are making us take behaviours that are not serving us very well at all. Right. And here's the biggest problem. We are, with our work from home situation now, we're spending a lot of time on screens, sitting there. So these feelings in our body are getting very stuck. So if we are just sitting and we're not moving our body, the emotions in our body is just there and we're constantly in that stress cycle because we're never getting up and moving and sending a message to our mind, hey, I'm safe, everything is good, my posture's open, I'm smiling, I'm moving, I'm breathing. So we're just stuck in this stress and we're taking behaviours from that. We've got really off topic now.
No, I love it. I really do. I want to see this lady.
Yeah. She's great.
Well, it's just interesting, isn't it? Because like anyone out there that's gets anxious, you feel it first before you think it.
You feel it first,
and you just get that overarching feeling in your chest, and you're just like fucking hell, and then it goes to your head, not the other way.
I want people this year to think of that like an alarm system in their body, and imagine we've got two alarm systems, like we've got a background alarm system and a foreground alarm system. And so when you and I go out into the world, let's say we go to cross the road and a car nearly hits us, that foreground alarm system goes off and then it calms down again. We take a few breaths, we check in on our environment, we're safe, that calms down. But for a number of people, that background alarm system is on constantly. We're very used to that feeling of having slightly tight shoulders, slightly short breath, being a bit hypervigilant around people pleasing and doing the right thing and getting my work done. We're sitting in that state and then something actually happens. So our boss calls us in for a meeting or, there's an accident on site when we're working or as an athlete we get dropped and that foreground alarm goes off. But it doesn't settle back down because the background alarm's going. So now we're screwed because we don't have this ability to regulate ourselves. And this alarm is constantly going off in our body. And then we are sitting behind a screen and not moving. And so this alarm is just going, because if you think about a caveman, when its alarm goes off that there's a tiger there, we do something about it. We run towards the tiger, or we run away, or we freeze, or we do something to take action. But we have these alarms going off in us all the time, every time. And people are watching news, our social media feed. This alarm is just going and going and going. And then we sit online all day and we're not moving our body, and we're not looking up, and we're not getting sunlight, and we're not opening our breath. And I'm painting a very doomsday picture, aren't I? But it's
to be honest,
it's so real, Dyl. People are struggling. It's really real.
I'll be honest, I've been really struggling the last month just with that. I watch the news and I'm like, fuck, and just feel, it triggers something in my body and just feel tight. And I don't know, I have really struggled to be able to just regulate and bring back down.
You just made a comment before when we were talking. You said I've been struggling with anxiety lately.
Yeah, just I don't know what it is.
Is that new for you?
It's not I've been since in sport I had a lot of anxiety, but since leaving it's been okay. But now I don't know. I just find myself just really all of a sudden just freaking out over things, and it's more for me. It's the book we're referencing a lot of stuff, but for me it's a form of self-sabotage, I think. And it even goes back to the thing before about going, I don't want you to interview me because, it's like my flog and probably the language where I'm so big on being able to talk to yourself and be able to pump yourself up. I've really lost that, and probably not being my own best friend enough. And you just get in, I feel like I'm one of those people you said before that's always quite, I have that anxious side of me, which to be honest has actually served me in great stead. It's not a bad thing. It's actually served me a lot of my life. But then there's the other side when it probably ticks over the other scale and you struggle to control it a bit more.
Yeah, it's anxiety, an anxious reaction like that fight and flight response serves us incredibly well. That's why we have it as humans. It keeps us alive. It keeps us safe. So, it can propel you in a football game. But when that background alarm never calms down, then we're constantly in this hypervigilant state. We get no rest. We get no recharge. It wears us out. And what first is this, really motivating, and it makes me move quickly and do things fast and tick off my to-do list, eventually for some people they can get exhausted, and now they're lying in bed and they're flat and they're heavy and they're tired and they've got very depressive state. But what is worse is it's called functional freeze. So think of an animal in the wild. When a predator comes, they freeze, and they freeze in that state until the threat passes. What's happened to us is that in our workplaces, we can't fight people and we can't always run away. So we've got really good at this freeze response, which is just procrastination, not making a decision. Just even though it's social media, I'm doing something, I'm actually frozen in the work I'm supposed to do. But once that immediate threat passes, we sort of come out of that freeze state a little bit, but we're still sort of in it. And now we're in functional freeze state where I am people-pleasing, perfectionism, like I'm watching over myself. I'm watching myself just tick off my to-do list, get it done. I'm numb to my life. I'm, just moving through the motions of my life because really I'm in this freeze state. And so I believe all of the online working from home is making us in this functional freeze state. Just sit at my desk, tick it off, get on the online meetings, and, I'm watching my world unfold, but I'm not in it. I'm not living it. I'm not experiencing the joy. And I'm numb to the pain, so I'm just flatlining everything. Now, for someone who's on a, work site, you're like, well, I am moving my body. Yeah, but you're just going through the motions. Your body's sore. It's full of inflammation. You're not connected to why you're there or what you're trying to do. You're just ticking the job list off, getting done so that you can get home to your beer or whatever it is. And I can't even remember how I got on that. So I was talking about your anxiety. And it can go from serving you well to not serving you well. I would question with you that your change in life circumstances is driving a hypervigilance around the world, your work. You know, do your listeners know your personal?
Yeah. Becoming a dad.
You're becoming a dad, right? And so now it's like I've got to bring a child into this world.
And do you know what's also really funny? That's not funny, but it's like, you know, we can talk about it later, but like obviously the last sort of 12, 24 months has been challenging in a way of like, you know, I've had some stuff going on with my dad and then the IVF stuff with Jazz. And now that those sort of things are going really well, I'm like, I don't have anything to fucking worry about anymore. So why don't we just overthink everything you've ever done in your life and try and find something? Like I'm trying to personally just find something to like stress about.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what your book, your self-sabotage book talks about, but, you know, we get very familiar to that anxious feeling. We get very familiar with busyness. We get very familiar with overwhelm. And so when we're not in that emotional state, it feels uncomfortable for us. So it's like we put ourselves back into it because that's our comfort. That's what we know. And, you know, I have a daughter. She's just finished her law degree. You know, she's done an incredible job, you know, valedictorian of Bond and off to a big top-tier law firm. But she's been in this state of people-pleasing anxiety for a long time. And she had the year off this year. And watching her, and it was me forcing her to say, no, you're not doing it. She's had some travel, but around that travel, it's like, you're not doing anything today. You are just resting, going in the sauna, catching up with friends. That was so uncomfortable for her because she's used to being in a state of overwhelm and busyness. And it was like she was seeking it out. And I have to worry about something and I have to tick off something. And so we have to retrain ourselves into being able to be still. And that takes work and it takes looking at, which comes to our workshop, right? Because here's a work piece around it. It takes work and deliberate and purposeful work, but I'm also conscious if the work is too much, then that is another thing that I can get wrong. You know I'm driving around, but Oscar Piastri is, I don't know if you're going to ask me about him, but he's F1 this year.
Yeah. He's signed with McLaren?
McLaren has taken Daniel Ricciardo's.
Unbelievable. And Daniel's gone back to Daniel, I'm talking like I know him. He's gone back to Red Bull.
As a reserve driver.
Yeah, no, he's gone back as a driver. Yeah, I think so.
No, reserve driver.
Reserve driver.
Yeah. So you're not going to see him on the grid. But one of the things for Oscar, I have been with Oscar for many years now. So been with him right from F3 to F2 to now into F1. And, you know, we have a little routine of how we work together. But you step into the F1 world and now everyone wants a piece of you and everyone wants their thing to be the thing that helps Oscar Piastri, you know. And, you know, they've got the great idea that's going to do this and going to do that. So I feel like my role with Oscar right now is minimising the mental work so that it's one less thing that he has to get right. So rather than coming in and, I want you doing this and that, it's like, okay, Oscar, how can we get this to something that serves you without being something else you've got to learn, get good at, do. And that's when I'm saying to you, the work that you do around this anxiety can't be to the point where it's another thing that I'm fail at and I'm no good at and I can't get it right. So the word for me has always been like I am looping back to my story about how I find my word. You know, I stole it off Vicky because I'm a fraud of a therapist who, you know, doesn't do the work herself. So I just steal it off someone else who I think's a guru and knows better than me. Probably because I never did the work myself to find that word. By the end of the year, I couldn't remember what it was and obviously was not using it as a way to guide me. So I'm doing something different this year.
Love it.
And I have given you homework so that you can do it with me.
This is the first homework I've ever done in my life.
Really? Did
I
you
got
do
through
it?
school without doing anything. Yes, I did it.
Okay. Do you want to frame up what it was?
Well, just the relationships, work, business, finances, physical health, emotional health, our goals for the year.
Well,
not goals, but
yeah.
what we want to get better at.
Yeah, so what I asked you to do was to take one page.
Yes.
And on that one page, what I wanted you to write down was, what do I want in these particular categories? So the categories were relationships, work, finances, physical health, emotional health, spiritual health, if that, appeals to you. So basically, as I've said, behaviours and choices that don't serve us. We want more impulse control. We want, more discipline. We want helpful habits. First, we've got to know, well,
what does it look like?
What does it look like? If I want all this stuff, if I want to be more disciplined and have better impulse control, what does it look like, and what does it look like in those specific areas of my life? Now, you don't have to share them all, but you can share them all.
Yeah, I'll be sharing them all, yeah.
This is my secret way of getting
That's the way to do it?
Yeah, I'm getting back in control. I'm
like
now.
it, yeah. All right, so what are we going with first? Relationships?
Yeah, let's start with relationships.
I hope I've done this homework right, but I feel like I have.
Okay, see that immediate drop into...
I'm a fucking loser.
And fear of other people's opinions, and I'm not good enough, and I'm hopeless at homework, and I've always been hopeless my whole life.
Yeah.
This
is the best fucking homework you've ever seen. You sit back and relax and watch this. Okay?
Nice. Go.
Relationships. So straight away when I thought about this is obviously a really important one to me. So I'm going to be a dad soon, which is going to be huge. It's going to be really special. So I just want to be like, I hope this doesn't sound too generic, but I just want to be as present as I can in that whole experience. And I feel like this next 2 months for me is building up to just getting work in a position where I can really just take some time and take the back seat. And I'm actually pre-planning to, not really be here as much, but have pre-planned episodes, give myself really time to just be at home as much as I can. But also, I love being here as well. So there'll be parts where I'm really lucky that I'm very flexible with that sort of way it is.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
When you say, because I have heard you on a few different podcasts because I'm a multiple guest that you keep inviting back.
Yes.
When you say present, what do you mean by that? Because do you know how many people say to me, I'm going to be more present this year?
Yeah. So what it means to me is when I find, even what we were talking about before, those stress cycles of like when I'm with Jazz and Mum and I'm with my dad and these things, like I'll be talking, but then all of a sudden I pick up my phone and start scrolling mid-conversation. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Like there's nothing on my phone, but it's just this reaction of I need to be doing something at all times.
Yeah.
So I think for me, it's like finding something that is present and we're not just doing something mindlessly together. So even for a relationship with my mum, which is like incredibly special to me, but I found that when I was living in Sydney, we had this incredible relationship because when she came up and visited, we just spent the weekend together. We went out to dinner. She stayed at the house. We went for walks around Paddington. I was showing her Sydney versus now I'm home. Life gets busy. She comes around. She wants to do my washing and then leaves. I'm like, I don't want to spend time with her like that. Like it's not quality time. So I've written down even a couple of things that I want to do with my mum and dad this year. So like one is I love going to the movies with my mum. Like we just love going to the movies and we try and do that a lot. And, she's got 2 grandkids now on the other side. So her time's limited. But I think that's a really cool thing for us to still just keep our relationship at its peak.
Yep.
And dad is another one that, he's not, as I said, I'm trying to cut down on doing things that aren't as great for me, and he's not drinking anymore, which is great. 2 years clean off alcohol, which is just fuck. I don't give him anywhere near the credit he deserves.
Yeah, that's
not
awesome.
that it's just it doesn't get celebrated enough. But for me, it's been interesting because like our thing would have gone, let's go have a beer or something like that. But now developing a new way to have a relationship that's not revolving around that. So one that I've even picked up last night was just going for a swim in a sauna. Like that's what we used to do when we were a kid. Like he'd always just like after a game, we'd always go for a swim and have a sauna. So that's something I really want to focus on doing with him. With Jazz, I find that we have a really incredible relationship already. You know, we work together every day. We're at home together all the time. We do everything together on the weekend. So she's sort of intertwined as she can. But actually, this is maybe one for the young parents. I was in Byron last week, and we caught up with some friends that they have 3 kids and they live in Byron Bay, which is away from family and friends. And, you know, I can imagine I don't have kids yet, but when the baby comes along, it's very easy to just have your life about that. And we're talking to this couple, and in Byron they have a babysitter, but you can't, because it's so scarce to like get one, you have to book in hours to actually have them per week. So you have to guarantee X amount of hours of babysitting per week. And I was like, well, they said that's actually so good. One, because you've got it there, but you have to use those hours. Yeah. So even when they don't need it for the week, they're like, well, fuck, we have to go out for dinner or something because we've got these hours locked in. If we don't use them, we're just paying someone to do nothing. Yeah. So that was something that we've already identified. Maybe it's going to be worth doing to force us to be able to stay connected.
Yeah, love it. I like how what you're talking about is those really quality connections. So we know as one of our fundamental needs for our health and well-being is quality social connections. It doesn't have to be quantity. You don't have to be at the pub every night or see 50 million friends. You can have a few good, close people in your life, but how you connect with them needs to be quality. With the present thing, I'm saying this to you, but I'm also saying it to the listeners. Present is not being slower or doing less or, having more time. Even if your mum comes over to do the washing, it's like in that moment, I'm actually hearing her. I'm seeing her. I'm really, if I'm hugging her, I'm touching her, I'm feeling that connection. So to be present, when you're talking about presence in your relationship, don't get that confused with the quality connection. Is that
so you can still do those things but be quality.
Yeah, it's like I can come home from work with Juz and be present with Juz and the baby, and I might only have 5 minutes, but I can be fully present in that, actually see them, hear them. And it's not just not having my phone there, it's actually being fully engaged with them. And that doesn't have to be a time thing. So people out there who are like, well, I don't have the time like Dyl does to go for a swim in a sauna, or I can't afford to It's like you can be on a phone call and be present on that phone call. You can be in an online, a FaceTime or a Zoom and be fully present in that.
Yeah, it's a great point.
Okay, so work is take a back seat and create it. Okay, go.
Yeah, so work's the next one.
Yeah.
This one's I've probably thought about a lot. I did it really, people who listen to the show a lot will know that I've made a really cool friend in a guy named Ali Tarai that I met last year, and I've learned a lot from him around this space. He's a really successful guy, but seems to just give you bits of wisdom on those sort of things. And for me, I've done a bit of work on like recalibrating and like working out what you actually want. And the notion of this is around, when you're 26, you look at everything in your life and you go, wow, this is what I wanted when I was 18, but it's not what I want now. So for me, I looked at that and I was like, fuck, like I don't want to be Joe Rogan. Like I really don't want to be the biggest podcaster in the world. It's not something I want to be. Like I'm so happy with the listeners we have now, this incredible community. All I want to do is maintain and grow that relationship and have what we have and just like build it to where it is. And I'm really happy with that. Like if we didn't get one, like I'd love to reach more people to obviously spread messages of everyone else and help them. But for me, it's not about being the biggest show in the world. And I honestly, it's not something that's really there. So in that, it comes to like knowing when is enough. And to be honest, like if it didn't grow any more than it was now, I'm talking about the business in itself. Like I come here every day and with like really incredible people, work with my best mates, got such a cool office. Like I love it where it is. And it's like, obviously we want to keep striving because it's not, I can honestly say that I've learned this is it's not about the destination, like being a big business or a company, but it's a journey to get there. So obviously I still want to reach for those goals because the journey is the fun part, like getting to that. I love sitting in meetings and trying to get deals and all this sort of stuff. Like it's awesome because that's the cool part, but I know it's not about that. It's actually the journey of it.
Well, that's the stuff that we talked about last podcast. When I have a bigger podcast, then I'll do this, or when my business is bigger, then I'll do that. It's actually being present, again, being in what you're doing and what you have built and and getting the joy and the fulfillment and the purpose from that. So that's a good one. I like that one.
The one of that, so I'll keep going on that just quickly, is I realised too, I was like, the opportunity cost. And when you explain it to someone, you can think about it in your own job maybe you're in now. It's like you could earn X dollars. Say you could earn $200,000 in an office job, but in that time you don't get to see the outdoors, you don't hang around with anyone, maybe the purpose in the job isn't as fulfilling. Or you could earn $100,000, but you could work with the coolest team ever, you can take days off when you want. And I think for me that was a big one as well, going, what's the opportunity cost here? Like, is that $100,000 worth not having this awesome life that I want? And for me, I'm this year sacrificing things and things that are coming in going, that's awesome, but you know what? I love on Thursday having a day off to go play golf, if it's possible. And I totally get that, and this will come into the next one with finances. I get that there's parts like that you've got to pick and choose, and you can't be happy and content all the time. But for me, that's really important to enjoy what I'm doing. Otherwise, I know it's just going to go downhill.
Yeah, I think it's important to say, along that work, that some people don't have the luxury of going, I'm just happy where I'm at, and they do need to, or they want to, or they do need to progress.
Definitely.
Have to grow this business, or they have to, work in a space that they don't want to work. Looking at what I want from work doesn't necessarily have to sound like you, because that sounds really amazing. It can sound like, that I want in my work to be productive and effective so that I get to the end of the day and I, have enough space in my mind to go home and connect to my family really well. So even if you're listening to this and you're not in a position where, your work is a place of joy and, I'm just happy with where I am. And I'm always acutely aware that a lot of people, work for them is a struggle and a grind that they have to do rather than they get to do. And I know, there's a lot of affirmations out there saying I get to do this today, but the reality is, for some of us, work is not that space. But so when you're doing this piece of homework, think about, well, maybe work for me is like I just want to show up, because we lose a lot of energy sitting in our job. I hate this. I don't want to go there today. This is the worst. My boss is blah, blah, blah. I want work to be a neutral environment where I don't attach emotionally to it and I just get through the end of the day. That's okay as well.
Yeah. And I'd like to say, because then I'm now thinking in my head, oh, fuck, that was a shit thing to say because people don't. No, but I'm also thinking, and I'm not thinking that, is it's like, to be honest, I've done that work before. I've been at that stage where, and people think, all you've done is play footy and done this. But I have worked minimum wage jobs when I played footy and I fucking hated it. But somehow you can find a different thing if you want to, or you can justify whatever you're doing in different ways. Because, for example, someone I respect the most in the world is my mum. And she worked 9 to 5 for the same company her whole life. And she worked to live, and her biggest thing was coming home to see her family. So it's I know people have different goals, but for me something really important is to work and have purpose and do that. So definitely didn't want to, I'm not saying to people that I understand.
No, I didn't think you were saying
but it's
that,
just it's worth saying, because people don't have the same goals. Some people just they love working and they want to do it like that. Some people want to do things. So again, this is why it's so healthy to do this exercise.
Absolutely. Okay. Finances.
This is it's an interesting topic, isn't it? Finances. It's super stressful, but for me, that's a massive thing this year, is to actively put a plan in place. And I've definitely had a lot of financial stress early in my life, and even when I stopped playing footy, it was a really stressful thing, and it was one of those times where I was like, I'm just not going to even look at this. I don't want to think about it because it was too hard. But have had some really cool advice and had some incredible people around me to give a lot of information. But then ultimately, at the end of the day, they've said that it's up to you what you do. You can bring in all these sort of things, but it's up to you. So I've got a team now that I'm working with to actually just educate myself on decisions to make. And it's through Blue Rock. That's not a shout out to them. It's just a accounting firm that I work with, and also work with my mate Ricky, who does all the accounting stuff for the business. It's because it's something that numbers. I dropped out of maths in year 9. So I should
have dropped out of maths in year. I dropped out in year 10.
Yeah.
I can't do my kids' grade 5 homework.
That's it. And I never did accounting, never did anything. Yeah. So it's something that has been hard, but I think it's, if I could say to anyone now, and I hope that this is a good bit of advice, but I'd say if you didn't know what you wanted to do leaving school, I would say go get an accounting degree. Because if you want to be in business, it's the best. If you're confident, it's like being confident in the ocean. Like if you can swim in the ocean, you can go out and swim. If you can be confident with finances and have a basic understanding of business and you want to be in business, accounting is just, it just gives you, it fills you with so much like gusto.
Maybe start with reading the Barefoot Investor book
I've never
before
read
you
that.
enroll in an accounting degree.
Oh, but do you, accounts and stuff, like I do my zero and all, like that took me 2 years to get comfortable with. Like it's such a cool thing knowing like profit and loss and what's coming into.
Oh, I could not do an accounting degree if you paid me $1 million. But Scott Pape's books are written for people like me, so they are really good.
I haven't actually read them.
it.
I'll be honest, I haven't read them. That's
my
not my
husband's
book.
been telling me. My husband has made all our children read it.
Yeah.
You can ask them if they have. I don't know.
I will.
But it is a really good
That's
book.
a Barefoot Investor?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I'll have to read that.
Scott Pape, is that his name?
Do you think that's what else would you say for that?
No, I think
category?
that's fantastic. Like you're just saying, I want to educate myself more.
Yeah.
I want to put a plan in place. You know, someone else might be, I want to put enough money away for X.
Yeah.
You know, and that's fine. I think that's a great one.
Well, even on that as well, just on like not the stress and the finance of it, but like having something that I just didn't think about is, well, I've thought about it now, but is, you know, having a family, like you drop from one wage to 2 wages to one, which is something, again, it's a bit of a thing, oh geez, like that's a big thing to have, but you make it work. Like you just,
yeah, and for some people then it's childcare costs and, you know, little baby Nike sneaker costs and nappies and formula and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
All of that stuff.
Huge.
Fun to come.
Yeah.
Okay, physical health.
Physical health. This is a really important one to me this year. I think I say it all the time, but like I need to, this has been a part of my life as far as I can remember. And I definitely dropped off it a lot and didn't understand how much of an impact that was having on me for a while. But yeah, running, and I've actually just picked up doing Body Fit lately, which I really, really
What
enjoy.
is that?
So it's like an F45, but you go there, you don't have to think about it. You just get in, get it done, 45 minutes, and it's awesome.
Yep.
Like I really like it. It's like, yeah, strength, cardio, 45 minutes, in and out, bang, done.
And again, if someone's listening to this and can't afford Body Fit or they are not at that level, you know, a really good one for this one is, what do I want? I want to move for an hour.
Yeah.
Just move your body for an hour a day. Like try and do that.
Well, it's like the habit stacking stuff we spoke about last time, right? Like even the goal stuff about I fell in this trap as well recently. I was like, I'm going to do Feb fast. Not drinking for the whole month. Mm-hmm. 4 days in, I was like, I can't, like, this is ridiculous.
I know.
Start fucking small, man, you know? And then I was like pissed off with myself. I was like, this is, what an idiot. Like, you've already stuffed it up. Yeah. It's like, I'm going to go to the gym every day. It's like, it's not possible. Do it once a week for a month.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you are like, physical health is really something that, one, you've never had an interest in, it's not ever been on your radar, just movement for 30 minutes a day.
Yeah.
You know, that can be parking your car further away from work or, you know, getting your coffee. But yeah, that is a good one. So when you say, what, more running, what are you doing? That one wasn't very clearly
running,
defined.
yeah. I think running for me is just one that when I see my psych, she always says to me, like, if I say, first thing is she says, have you been running?
Yeah.
Because we've just put such a direct correlation into, if I'm moving and just burning some energy, like I'm always feeling a lot better.
Yeah. So so I would encourage you to be a bit clearer around something like, I want to prioritize my physical health. I want to prioritize my running so that, 4 times a day it's in the diary.
Yeah.
You know, so that you have more of a plan than I just
want to
run. I want to run.
Yeah. The only thing that's found with that, Emma, lately is I am getting older and I'm tearing a lot of carbs.
Really?
Like, a lot.
You need to go and see Vicky.
I need to see Vicky for a few things. Yeah. But the carbs are just bombing, like they're just blowing up.
Do you have many carbs?
I have 2.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have very good ones?
No, apparently not. they're hardly even a muscle there, but they just
skinny
burn.
legs.
Yeah, they just go. So that's a big one, to be honest, getting on top of that. And I've found that I was doing a couple of years ago actually doing Kaiser.
I'm doing that at the moment.
That is legit.
So good.
It is unbelievable.
I mean, you could have to sell your house to pay for it.
Yeah, it's on private health though. If you sign up I signed up with GMHPA and you get like the sessions on it.
Really?
Mm-hmm. That's how I did it.
Right.
GMHPA, if no one has the private health. Yeah, I did it through that.
You need to have those
I know.
Free plugs. Where are you going?
Well,
This is
I've
the
got
first
my private. It's
episode
funny
of
because
free plugs.
I moved private health to get with GMHPA so I could do Kaiser.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've said it as Kaiser this whole time.
I think it is Kaiser, to be honest.
Right.
I don't know how to say it properly, but it's really cool. For those people that don't know what it is out there, it's like a gym, but it's like Pilates, a gym, and a physio all in one.
I'm usually there with most people are over 70.
Yeah, but that's because they're wise and they know that it's good for them. So the
love
rest
it.
of us,
They
we want to
turn
go to
up
the
in,
gym
like, sandals and random clothes.
Yeah, it's not going to get you like the best rig, I would say, for those out there looking to improve the physique, but it's going to like really strengthen all those internal muscles. Like,
So
I did it when I hurt my back.
I wondered if this is going to help me actually. I need it for strength.
What have you got any injuries?
No, but I'm just conscious that I just turned 50 and I want to be able to like get up and down off the toilet seat and reach things in cupboards. And,
yeah. No, it is like, for anyone out there that has like bad back, I swear by Kaiser or Kaiser that it fixed my back.
Yeah.
Like nothing. I've been at AFL Club for 8 years and
a lot of the AFL boys do it, right?
Yeah, they do now. Yeah, it's unbelievable. Check it out.
They're going to sponsor this podcast.
I bloody hope so.
Sure.
They should. But it was really, really good. So
how do we get onto that? Schedule. I want you to schedule.
I
want you to be a bit clearer with that one.
Yep.
Because you're going to have a baby, you're going to have work. First thing that's going to fall off your to-do list is your running.
Yep. You know, another one, I've actually want to start, like, I don't want to play footy on the weekends because I want to play golf, but I want to start training with a footy club. So I'm going to probably go back and start training with my old school just because I love
connection.
Actually, the connection, having a kick, having a laugh.
Yeah.
And have been missing that sort of side of things. So I really enjoyed that as well.
Yeah. I was talking to a young kid on the weekend about that very same thing. You know, they've got some stuff going on for them. And I'm like, got to get back to your footy club, get around people, not for the performance element of it, just the connection, the journey.
I had a business idea that no one liked a while ago, and it was like a footy league where you don't play on the weekends, but you just train with each other. So it's just like having fun on training.
I like that.
And then you don't have to play. Because like I don't want to play on the weekends.
Shaking your head over there.
Because Sam he doesn't like training, but he likes playing. Whereas I'm like, I can't bother playing, but I'd like to train. Because for your fitness, you get the sweat out. Like I love training.
A little
you have a bit of a
match
10 on 10 at the end sort of thing. Yeah. Bit of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the goal.
I like that. Okay.
Shout out if you want to have a training league with me.
Oh, okay.
Emotional health.
Yes.
For this one, for me was last year. I see my psych like probably once every 3 to 4 weeks. Just check in, which has been huge for me. Mm-hmm. But yeah, just continue to be really proactive with it, not reactive. Mm-hmm. And I know it's going to be a really big year. So for me, like I genuinely do just see this as like helping me digest and word vomit and have someone catch you out on your shit. And like that's why I love when we chat on the phone and we'll talk about what we did last year. But just hearing something sometimes when you say it out loud and someone goes, that was so stupid. And you're like, I know. But in my head, I didn't think it was stupid until I said it out loud.
Yeah. We call that name it to tame it, like actually looking at the stuff and seeing that it's normal and it's not true and everything else. But for some people, emotional health will be, well, I don't want to see a psych. I can't afford it, or I don't want to, or I don't really need to. So if they're looking for things under emotional health, it's like perhaps they are listening to some podcasts of that topic or reading particular books or, there's little short courses that they can do. So it's just starting to, perhaps a great one if you've never thought about your emotional health is like to start building my awareness around what is emotional health, what do I need, and that comes from the reading and the listening and opening your world up that exists.
The other one as well was building the tool belt. Just like keep adding things that like I can add to that, whether it's the breathing stuff we'll talk about. We've got mindfulness, we've got a happy place, we've got some hypno stuff that we did. Like I'm just feeling like I'm building a few more things, and each day I'm like, oh fuck, I don't need that for this, but I need it for this. And I speak about it a lot, but the great analogy of this was I was on a camp in Tasmania a while ago with David Butterfin, who used to work at Carlton. Who did you work with him a bit at Collingwood a while ago?
I don't remember.
No, anyway, he's great, and he was talking. We were about to go in.
What's his role?
He was a high performance manager.
Oh,
at
right.
the Pies,
okay.
and he was at Carlton as well. And we were going and doing this camp. They have a business called Resilience Builders. I've told this story a few times, but I think it's so valuable. And one of my biggest fears is the like a claustrophobic, and we're doing the caving.
Oh, yeah. Oh man, I couldn't do that.
It was hard. Not with that mindset, you couldn't.
No.
And he was talking about that, and he was. I said to him before, I was like, mate, like I don't really want to do this.
Yeah.
Like, and he goes, oh, that's fine if you don't want to do it when you're there. If you don't do it, and I was like, that's bullshit. I know you're going to make me do it. And we're going through it, and he goes, look, there's 3 things you can do. And one is you go to your breath. We talk about breath work. You get in there, and you when you feel the anxiousness coming, go to your breath. I was like, okay, cool, breath work. He goes, next one is you picture your happy place. Go to your happy place. For me, that was Bronte Beach, driving down there on my scooter, getting a park, walking to the beach. And he goes, and the third one is you just fucking get it done. And I was like, okay. Anyway, went to my breath, didn't work. Went to my happy place, didn't work. And the last one was you fucking get it done. And I got it done. And I was like, that is going on the tool belt.
Yeah.
That is one that gets on the tool belt because I had the other 2. They're great for certain things, when I'm at home or when I'm doing this, but the fucking just get it done one was just like, that's like been really getting used lately. Like I love it.
Yeah, that was a big thing after Will's accident. We had my favourite sort of saying, and we said a lot in our family, was I can do hard things. Just like I can do hard things. Just roll up your sleeves, get it done. You don't necessarily have to know how or why. Like lean into the discomfort. Fundamentally know that he is not going to put you in a situation where you're not going to survive it. Like the Thai cave thing didn't go well.
Do you know the week before I had Richard Harris on the podcast? So it was like I had him on, the guy that went and saved everyone.
And then you had to go
and
caving.
Then I went caving.
That's hectic.
Yeah, so it's cool.
Yeah. I like that. Okay, emotional health. Now, spiritual health. I put in my text to you, like, only if that sort of applies for you. I didn't, I'm really curious to see where you landed with that.
Yeah, well, again, I don't know what your sort of idea of that was, but I'll explain what mine was maybe, and then you can see.
That's the whole point of it.
Okay,
What
cool.
does spirituality mean to you?
Thank you. For me, this is going to sound super weird, but I've thought about this a lot. It's like when maybe when I've had a few beers and you're really contemplating the world. But a lot I thought about was religion. And for a long time I was like, I'm not religious at all. Like I think I was baptized as a kid, but I'm not into a god or anything like that. But I thought about a religion a lot. And I was like, no matter if you don't believe in religion, what it does for people that do is incredible, right? Like you believe that there's a higher power on your side that is going to help you and stand by you and all these things. It's incredible. And anyone that is religious, that's fantastic. But then I realized I actually am religious, but just to the universe.
Yeah, 100%.
I walk around thinking that the universe is genuinely like my best friend.
Yeah, got
and I'm like, man, this thing is just working with me.
Yeah.
Not all the time. Don't get me wrong. There's sometimes I'm like, fucking, are we on the right track here? Are we on the same page? Sometimes we've got to have a conversation. But I think I'm just having a deep belief that the universe has got my back.
Yeah.
And, getting weirder, it's like I look at the plants and the sand and the ocean and, the waterfalls that we talk about. All those things of just getting back into nature and being around grass and, playing golf and just being on the earth. I'm just like, I feel a part of it.
Yeah. I mean, we know that everything is energy, whether it's the grass, the water, the trees, us, we're all made up of energy. So, when we use that word universe, we're sort of trusting that the energy of the universe is going to, work in a way. Now, There's a doctor called Dr. Joe Dispenza. He talks a lot around. Have you heard of Dr. Joe Dispenza? Oh, okay. So Joe Dispenza, he in fact broke his neck. He was a triathlete. He was studying to become a doctor of, I think he's a chiropractor. They're doctors. That's their title.
Yep.
But he broke his neck in a bike riding accident with a truck, and he effectively was paralysed with a spinal cord injury. And he would lie in hospital and he would close his eye and he would meditate on the anatomy of his body, and he healed himself. Now, I need to say that Will Murray is not necessarily going to be able to close his eyes and meditate and heal himself from spinal cord injury. Every spinal cord injury is a different injury. You knock out different nerves. I don't know what he knocked out. Yeah. He might have had more spinal shock than anything else. But what that led him to is that he, for 25 years, studied meditation and frequency and energy. And so when we get into a particular energetic state, they can measure that on like a brainwave and an MRI, and I'm not a doctor, I'm probably saying it wrong, but they can measure that frequency. And when energy gets to a particular level, that starts to change matter. And, you know, so he's done a lot of work in the cancer space on tumours. And I'm really paraphrasing what his beliefs are, but basically the energetic environment that the tumour grew in, if I can energetically change that, now it's a different frequency and that tumour can no longer grow in that energy, just like if I put a plant in a different environment, it's not going to survive. And, you know, look him up. He's got, you know, he's worldwide. He runs these retreats around the world. He's not renowned as being woo-woo. He's very science-based, very, very evidence-based. But what he's talking about, energy, frequency, that is what you are saying, is I believe in that. That's my religion. My religion is if I sit in a particular frequency, then I'm going to attract other frequency. So if I'm sitting in a place of love, I'm going to attract love into my life, and then it looks like this universe that I believe in has my back, but it's energy that I'm holding my belief in.
That's it.
That's it, right? So I'm like, hey, listeners, if you don't believe in God, great. I'm not going to judge you. I agree with you. What I have learned from the Basher Hooleys and the Alex Rants and, you know, these people that have exposed me in the AFL world to their religion, I'm like, sometimes I'm envious of Basher Hooley.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, wow, your faith keeps you so grounded. And what I say, you've heard me talk about A game and B game, and the B game is very noisy. It's the what ifs, if onlys, I can't do this, that's not fair. I believe what having a strong faith does is it minimises the B game. Even if it doesn't put you more into your A game, it quietens the noise down of why am I here, what's this about, what does this all mean? And so if you don't have that in your life, just learning more about how I can connect with my own frequency and how I can manage that to be serving me better to connect with the universe. I'm sounding like a kook now.
No, man, I love it.
You love it. Everyone else is switched off. You know, the rebel sport kid is like, I'm out of here.
No, he loves the universe.
Tell me then, now that we've cleared up what spiritual health means to you, what do you want that to look like for you?
Yeah, this is probably one where I have to actually get a little bit more structure around what it actually is, rather than just being like, oh, okay, cool, let's look at the sun today or something like that. For me, because like a lot of the time it's more when I'm in the moment, I'll just be like, oh, how cool, and like this is, you know, Juzzle, she could come on and talk about this, but whenever we're driving in the car, I obviously eyes on the road, but the one thing I love more than anything is looking at the trees, like as we're driving. So it's just sort of like knowing that I'm surrounded by things as it is. But yeah, in terms of actually putting a structure in place, like I don't have anything that is a staple.
Yeah, right. Well,
it's more just of a...
Yeah, so this is where, you know, that meditation or prayer for some people, or even the journaling, or I know breath work is physical health, but it can also be a very spiritual thing if I'm really connecting to, feeling that energy and getting into the energy that I want to put out into the world today. So for you, it might be around, finding 5 minutes on your dog walk where you actually pause and connect with that universal energy. Which I can teach you how to do that. But, there's no right or wrong way to do that, but that's just you breathing and, for some people it's putting out into the world what they want, and sitting in the feelings and the energy of having what you want. Other people, it's a completely far more religious experience. So maybe for you it's someone's got to walk the dog, right, when you've got this baby. So it might be something along that or connected to your running.
Yeah. For me, the reason I actually love the running is that reason of like I'm running, I'm breathing in oxygen at a faster rate that I'm literally, this is not probably happening, but for me it's placebo, nocebo, right? I'm breathing in and I'm just sweating out shit that I don't want in my body. And that's what I imagine happening. So when I'm running and I see the sweat, I'm like, cool. Like I'm
so
I'm
that falls more into
out.
that hypnosis stuff that we might touch on a little bit later. But I want to call the listeners out who say, running's my spiritual health and emotional health time. That's where I work through everything. Running for most people is where they just go over their to-do list, what they haven't done, what they need to do. And just because they're in the act of running, they think that it's my mindfulness, my presence, my emotional and spiritual and physical health all ticked off at once. Like, no, that it has to be very deliberate that if it's coming into your running, then it's a practice that is, connecting you some way to your spirituality. So we can't just go for a run every morning and think it ticks off all of these boxes. Yeah.
Another one on the spirituality stuff as well that has been huge last year, and I think like having a garden is such a lesson for life.
Yes.
Like I've started my garden, I got obsessed with it, planted everything. I was like, this is the most spiritual fucking thing ever. And then all of a sudden, a month later, I wasn't seeing any progress. So I was like, oh, fuck this for a little bit. And now all my plants are like starting to die. So I was like, it was such a strong thing for me. And I overthought into it a lot, but I was like, isn't this such a interesting thing of where I'm at right now? Because the garden, everything in life now, you can sort of do something and see a reaction straight away. Whereas like a garden is, you have to plant something, you have to continue to water it and work at it, you have to be consistent with it. And then in a year's time, you'll see some growth. And a lot of the time now we just want growth straight away, but it's something that this is like has to teach us that like things just don't happen overnight. You got to keep hustling until you see that sprout.
Yeah, like this is spinal cord injury, right? It's like I'm working in this gym every single day to hope that it's building neural pathways to my body to one day for that body to have a new neural pathway connected that can make something move. But I have to do it with blind faith that
without seeing it,
that one day it's going to come.
Have you heard of how bamboo grows?
Yes.
Yeah, maybe you might be better at explaining it then. I'll do it from memory.
Give it a crack.
So I don't know if this is too far, but apparently I remember saying that it was, that it was you plant bamboo and it takes up to 100 years.
I thought it was 20.
Maybe it's 10. So whatever it is, I think it's 10. I think it might be 10.
I thought it was
20 or 10. Okay. Sam, can we fact check that while we're talking? Yeah. I think it's 10 years to even see a spurt.
Yes.
And the whole time that's doing it is just building this
Imagine
unbelievable.
If it was 100 years.
I don't know what it is, but it's
that's ridiculous.
3 years to get established. So the whole
No, but that's planting an actual bamboo plant that's already that's me going to Bamboo Cloud and buying it and bringing it back and putting it in my garden.
Yeah, this is like an actual from a sprout seed. It takes 10 years to get the root system. And then after that, it just goes.
Look at us ignoring the fact checker. No. Google's wrong.
Yeah,
we know
it is that
it's 10 years. Even if it's 3 years, that's hectic patience.
Yes. But then in a year, it just spurts up.
Yes.
So it's sort of like
and we've
10
had
years
bamboo
to...
and then it
strong
takes
house.
over. Okay, right. So
There was
the
an
spiritual...
analogy in there somewhere,
Okay.
guys. Sorry.
I don't even know how we got onto bamboo. Anyway, we don't need to know. We need to get back to that spiritual health
Sorry.
might challenge some of you.
Yes.
I'm okay if you don't even know where that is at the moment. I would rather you get your emotional health. If you don't even have emotional health, like maybe start with that if you can't get spiritual health. But for you, I think it's maybe a weekly practice.
Yeah.
And it might involve some sort of guided visualization. It seems as you don't know exactly what I'm believing in or what it looks like or feels like.
Yes. Now, I think it might be a good time to talk about the hypnotherapy stuff that we did because I would love to, I need to do this again, like an updated version of like you.
Do we not want to finish this workshop and then
I
get
thought,
onto
we
it?
finished because we had
No, because I haven't even told you what to do with it.
Oh, yeah, true.
Oh, my
true.
gosh.
Sorry, I was just really excited about the hypno stuff. Continue. Sorry.
Okay, so you have your one-pager.
Yes.
And you have written this out on your one-pager. And what your actual work now for the year?
I'm going to do more homework.
This is daily work. Okay, I started this podcast saying you have to do the work. It's not about saying I want to be more disciplined.
Just do it once and be like set forever?
But that becomes like my word that I don't remember by the end of the
100%. It could, it turns into the scrunched up paper in the bottom of the bag.
As if a baby turns up and you're going to do any of this.
No, I will.
No, you won't. Like
but if I do the work.
If you do the work, you will.
Yeah.
But you don't know what the work is because you haven't let me say it. Okay. Every day, you should read your piece of paper.
I can do that.
You can do that before you go to bed because before we got on air, you told me that you've been watching stuff on your laptop before you go to bed. It's been ruining your sleep. Bad move. We can talk about that. But you can read it before you go to bed.
Yep.
Or you can read it first thing in the morning, or you can have a routine where you read it before. I think it's got to be early in the day or late at night so that you wake up already with it still in your mind early in the day. Now, here's the thing. You're going to go about your day, and when you go to engage in a particular behaviour or you act on a particular impulse or you put something off or you procrastinate on something, you are going to ask yourself this question: does this fit? Does this fit with me being present with my mum? So your mum comes in, she's like, "Hi, Dyl." You're like on your phone. Does this fit with me wanting quality connection, with me being present? You go out to the bar and someone offers you a beer. You're like, yeah, great. You take the beer. Hang on, does this fit? Does this fit with me wanting to go running in the morning because that's in my diary in the morning? Does this fit with me wanting to be able to control the emotions of people pleasing and, caving into other people's opinions all the time? Does this fit? So you're going to go through your day and, I don't know if you want to get a thing on your desk that says, does this fit, or on your phone, but constantly question yourself, hang on, does this fit? So if it is what you want is a really connected, respectful relationship and you've got impulse control and you're having these thoughts around, oh, why are they doing that? And you go to just blurt it out. Hang on, just me giving my opinion of it and telling someone, that they're no good, does that fit with me wanting to build respectful connections this year? Does this fit? And just pull up. So we need to, these thoughts and behaviours that are habitual for us, we've been running these for years and they're just leading to behaviours that we do over and over again. We need to interrupt them some way. And so this is a way to interrupt, but not just interrupt, but get us back onto what we want. So if you are someone who is like, okay, my physical health this year is I want to move more and I want to make, about at least 70% of my diet non-processed food. Maybe that's what you want to do. I've got in my head now as I'm saying this, like the tradies out there pulling up at the work site, having their, pie and Big M. Do they do that or is that just myth?
I don't know.
Okay.
But I've got a little Solara. Get on Solara, everyone. It's really good. Have you ever had Solara?
No.
It's so yum.
What is it?
Oh, it's just like
Is that another name?
No,
drop?
it's not. We
Are they
buy it.
another
It's
sponsor?
unbelievable. It's just like this. It's like vegetarian meal prep, but it's unbelievable.
Oh, Morgan Mitchell used to be the face of that.
There you go.
I have eaten lots
I think
of
she
that.
influenced me. It was
Yes.
like it is. I've got it in the
It's
fridge for
vegan,
lunch now.
right?
It's vegan, yeah.
Yeah,
But you
yeah.
don't even know it's. I didn't want
No,
to say it was
is
vegan because I don't want to put people off.
Sorry,
But it's like it's so,
not vegan.
It's
They
so
don't have.
fucking
They're not
good.
vegan anymore.
They're not.
I'm just saying that.
Okay, yeah. Well, I don't know
They
what they
are
are, but
really
they are
good.
really
Yeah,
yum.
yeah, yeah.
I
They
have
are
them
fantastic.
at work.
Oh my God, you guys, your sponsorship for the year is done.
None of these people sponsor us.
No, but they're going to come running now. No, so it's like if you are that person and you go to, pull your car up, get your pints, I say, stop, does this fit? Now, it doesn't mean you have to be perfect, but we're trying to break the habitual behaviours that are tripping us up. So when you sit here, I feel like, I don't know, are we like an hour into this? We're finally getting back to your first comment, which was, I want to be more disciplined this year. It's not about saying I want to be more disciplined. I want to be able to interrupt the habits that are making me undisciplined, that are pulling me off the things that I want to do.
Yeah.
So if I want to be disciplined with my running, then I have to question when I'm having a beer with someone the night before, does this fit with what I want to do with my physical health in the morning?
Is there also a part of it as well, being like, but in saying that, there are times where you're not going to get this right and we have to be our own best friend, being like, there are times where we're going to have the pie and the Red Bull. There are times where we're going to have, like, I really enjoy drinking with my mates, but it's just the times where I don't need to be, which annoys me. So it's setting the goals and not being hard on ourselves if they...
Yeah, but I think it does fit. It's like if what I want with my physical health is to, 70% of the time eat really well, then it does fit. And it's like you might, let me think of a good example, your finances, someone might say, I want to save this amount of money, but then they go and they go and spend a lot of money on a dinner with good friends. But what they wanted was, to have quality connections with their mates. So it's like it might not have fit for the finances today, but it's fitting over here. So we're going to have to juggle all the time. And we're not about getting it perfect. We're about having an interrupt to this just impulsive, habitual responses that we put in place. But if we never read that piece of paper, we are going to drop into things that are comfortable for us, that are habitual for us. So that is a point of having it written down. That is a point of reading it every day. That is a point of asking yourself, having a go-to question to ask.
I absolutely love it. Do you know what's really funny is when I finished playing footy, I did this exercise without knowing sort of what I was doing.
This one?
Not exactly this exercise, but I was like leaving footy and being like, I want to do these things next year. Wrote down some, like I had no idea what the hell I was even writing. I found that diary the other day, and I haven't done this. I had done every single thing I ticked off on that list.
Really?
One was like, because this was like just as I finished. One was like work in radio, get some work on TV, do Dyl and Friends full time, start a family.
No.
There were 4 things.
I feel like, Dyl, you're
that
like
took
this.
4 years.
You like talk yourself down that you're sort of not good at this stuff, but
I'm good at it, but I did it 4 years ago and then I haven't.
Guru.
No, but I did it 4 years and I haven't done it since. So it's like
you
I
haven't
should
done
have
what
done it
since?
I haven't written anything down
You
since
didn't
then.
need to. You've been working on getting those things done.
That's true.
You had your signposts.
That is true.
All sorted. So that's the work.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another thing I want to say about the work. When you are in a situation where it's like I'm about to do something that doesn't fit, give me some examples for you.
Do something that doesn't fit.
Yeah, like what are your go-to things that trip you up?
So on the weekends, I literally stack them that full of like try and fit everything into a weekend. So I'm like, I'll play golf in the morning, try and catch up with a mate for a coffee, try and spend time with Juz, go out for dinner that night. And I won't say no to one thing. So it's people pleasing. Would you put in that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
even if I don't want to do them, like I'll just, instead of like saying no to something, I'll just do it and try and make it work.
Okay, so it's really helpful when you're doing this exercise to sort of have in mind what you get tripped up with a bit. So then you would look at that relationship bit and go, I want to foster quality connections over quantity, and I want to, be able to give myself enough space and time to be energized for that relationship time with that person so that I'm not jamming it. So on a weekend, I need me time. Well, one of the connections need to be with myself.
Yeah.
So when you get to that moment where you are like saying yes to that person and you are like, yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll come to this, and you're booking all of this stuff in, I want you – it's not a great example that you've given me, to be honest.
Okay.
But let me
I'll
work.
give you another example.
I feel like I should follow it. I feel like I should commit to it.
No, it's a shit example because I already know what the hell that like answer is. It's just like don't do shit that you don't want to do.
No, because it's not. It's actually hard to manage. People are like, bless my daughter. She said, I know I'm going off topic here, but I was like, I don't know what to say on Dyl and Friends. I'm like a has-been. I've got nothing new to say. And she's like, I go, what do you need to hear? Like, you're in the target audience. She's literally come back from 5 weeks at Whistler, this trip to Europe. She's about to go and work in a crazy-ass law job. So, like, people are like, oh, you spoil your children. No, she's worked hard for this trip and this is her gap year, so to speak. And she said, could you tell the audience, like, how to feel the way you feel on a gap year traveling when you're, like, at work? I'm like, I don't know that I can do that. And I'm like, well, what are the thoughts and feelings that you have when you're on that gap year? And let's try and get them into the work environment. She's like, well, my thoughts are I have no responsibility. There's nothing I have to do to please anyone. There's nothing on my to-do list. I'm like, okay, this is not going to work. But she does capture an important point, because what effectively you're trying to say is, how do I change those subtle thoughts that are making me people please? And how do I change those subtle thoughts that are making me, just get so stressed about my work? These little things that are not very obvious and tangible. I was hoping you'd give me an example like, well, I'm going to have my third beer and I really want to stop. That's an easier example to work with. But let's challenge ourselves and go, okay, when I'm demonstrating those behaviors, those habitual, like, people pleasing, saying yes to everything, can you give me any other examples that people are habitually doing? Always taking on extra work or not setting boundaries with my family. All of these little things. Why do we do that? I've got to change that. I want you to, this year, when you're using your Does This Fit exercise, not try and think your way through it, but actually get into your body. So our body is where we are acting from, and it's this uncomfortableness that I'm got to please this person on the other end of the phone who wants to catch up for golf that is making us say yes. It's not you sitting there thinking, oh, what will they think of me if I say no here? It's like this habitual that kicks in, and before you know it, you've said yes. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%.
And so what we are trying to get into the habit of is we know what we want our life to look like in that work and relationships and finances. And now I catch myself and I get into my body. And so now I actually have to check out what's going on for my body. Now you go, but I'm on the phone to this guy, needs an answer pretty quickly. So you might need to, for a while, have some strategies that buy you some time. Hey, let me check my diary and get back to you. So I don't just have the blurting out yes, but it's like, that sounds fantastic. I'd really like to catch up with you. Let me just check my diary or check with Jazz or, see what else I've got on.
Do you know what's really funny about that is, like, when people say no to me, I'm like, that was awesome. Like, I really respect it. And you know what I mean? I'm like, oh, I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
And even it's something that I actually respect. So I don't know why I'm not doing it myself, if you know what I mean.
Well, you're not doing it because that's a whole nother podcast. You know, our belief systems around what people think and the fear and blah, 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 blah. But the point that I want to make for this year for people is we have to get into our body and make the changes there. So it's like when I'm feeling like my boss says something to me and I'm feeling like, oh my God, I'm not good enough, I haven't done enough, before I then go and take on more work or say something stupid, get into my body, take the time to remove myself. breathe into my chest, soften my shoulders, just lift my eyes and start to change my internal environment, my physical environment, we call it somatics. And now I operate from a body that is not in this state of like, danger, danger, danger. And so I want people this year to constantly be getting back into their bodies because we're trying to think our way through stress and it's not helping us at all. So when I get and what?
Ask the question, does it fit?
And then ask the question, hang on, does this fit? No, it doesn't fit. Before I choose a behaviour know that to choose a behaviour that does fit, you're going to have to change that internal environment that's driving a behaviour that doesn't fit. So if I'm going to have that third beer, rather than just go, does this fit? No, it doesn't. Now change the body, my breath, get into what's going on for me because the craving sits in the body, not in, it is a mental thing as well, but change those feelings is what we want to do. Awesome. So does it fit? Get in the body, choose a better response.
Love it.
I felt like that we got there in the end.
Yeah, that's my fault. I didn't alley-oop that one quite the way I was hoping.
But
no, it's great. It's great.
Now you can talk about the work that we did last year. I'll let you do that now. Remember you wanted to talk about it and I said, no, let's finish our homework. Let's finish our work.
That honestly is great. I cannot recommend someone doing this the most. I've already thought about it. Funnily enough, I have bought a laminator recently. I don't even know you could laminate things anymore. Like laminate piece of papers.
Oh, you're going to laminate
I'm going to laminate it.
Okay.
I guess where I'm going to put it.
Next to your bed?
In the
on
shower.
Your bathroom mirror?
In the shower.
On the shower. I like that.
I'm going to put it in the shower. I went to a mate's place recently. I was staying up at his house in Sydney. And I was going to the bathroom and I was sitting on the toilet and reading this person's affirmations. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. I'd suggest maybe not using their person, maybe use the other bathroom, use your more private bathroom. But it was so cool to see what this person had written. And I was like, I need to do that. So now I've got the laminator. I'm going to write this down and put it in there.
Yeah. I love affirmations. They're like the more we think a thought, the more we believe that thought, the more we believe it, the more we take action on it. That's the point of affirmation. So when you say, I'm strong and confident and everything works out perfectly in my world, then that starts to affect how we go out into the day and the actions that we take. So affirmation it up, all for it, but know that our habits are so strong, they're so ingrained that in those areas of your life, relationship, work, finances and health, all these habits are going to come. And even though you've got these great affirmations, your habitual behaviour is going to trip you up. So then we're going to stop, catch it. Does it fit? Hang on, no, it doesn't fit. Let me get into my body. Let me change how I'm standing, talking, feeling, step away from the environment, physically step out of it, change physically, now come back into it with a behaviour that fits more.
Unbelievable. You know, when you're saying before just about affirmations, quickly before we move on, I don't know if I've made this up or you've told me this or I've heard it somewhere. I couldn't find any backing of this because I was doing a little project a while ago and I'll talk about it later, but it was about affirmations and about our brain not knowing when we're actually serious or sarcastic or it can't tell the difference between if it's true or if it isn't. So if we tell ourselves, I am this, I am this, I am this, we become it versus like if we're joking, we say, I'm a fucking idiot, I'll never do this, I'll never do that, we won't. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. Like we, we just believe whatever we say to ourselves over and over again and we respond. I mean, there's incredible evidence in medicine and all sorts of things around people believing in, that they're getting a drug and they're not really getting a drug and what happens to them physically. And, this goes back to that Joe Dispenza stuff we're saying. He is like every thought has a particular frequency. And so that frequency of that thought, like I'm shit, I hate myself, is changing the frequency that's going into our body that's then changing the environment of our body, which can either make us thrive or unhealthy effectively. So yes, for sure. But podcasts where they talk about this stuff can agitate me a little bit because it all sounds great in theory, right?
Yeah.
And then it's all really difficult to do when we are busy. You know, I did some work with an executive leadership team, this big corporate organisation. I saw them before Christmas. I saw them just after Christmas when they came back, and I saw them again last week. Just after Christmas, they're like, this is great. I've had a great break. I'm ready. New year. I think you and I spoke about this. Like, we're actually refreshed. Like, this is good. New year. And then you told me that, and now you're saying, hang on, I'm getting all this anxiety, right? They told me, yep, new year, I'm good. My next session with them, 1st of Feb, they were like in mass overwhelm. We've got too much to do. We can't do this. And my point of what I'm saying is very habitual that we drop back into the busyness, the overwhelm. And so we listen to these podcasts, we think that's amazing, but you have to do the work. And so I think me working with athletes, what that has enabled me to do is design work that is actually doable. You know, the Oscar Piastri story. Imagine if I come in with Oscar and I'm like, right, you're going to meditate an hour a day, you're going to do half an hour breath work. Before the race, you're going to do this and do that. Now, all of a sudden, this young kid who's just trying to drive a Formula One car, it's a whole nother list of stuff I'm not good at, I'm failing at. Now he goes into the car thinking, but I haven't done that work that Emma wants, so now I'm not going to drive well. We have to do work that sets us up to succeed, not to fail. So something like this is like, hey, just get it down on paper. It can be one sentence. Just, even if you don't have a laminator, not everyone has a laminator, Dyl.
No, you're right.
If you don't have a
Apologies
laminator,
to anyone who doesn't have a laminator.
you know what you can do? You can write it in whiteboard marks on your bathroom mirror.
Yeah, I will be honest, that laminator was about $6. They're very cheap these days.
Are they?
Want to plug not a good business to
brand?
be in lamination.
Yeah, so it's like I want people to know that they do have to do some work.
Yeah. And that was what I was sort of joking before, being like, oh, you mean you actually have to do something? It is true. Unfortunately, you can't just listen to one podcast and it changes your life. Like, that just doesn't work.
Yeah. Dyl and Friends can change your life, but any other podcast you can't. Okay, so let's circle back.
References?
No.
Okay.
You keep forgetting.
Your show.
You wanted to talk about.
Yep, your show. The Hypno.
Yeah, you wanted to talk about the work we did last year.
Yeah, we did. So when last year when we were chatting, and I was probably going through a bit of a weird time with the IVF and the fertility stuff that Juz and I were going through, and I was just struggling to just think about it. You know, it was hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel of like, when is this going to end? And I think a big epiphany for me just before that forced me to connect with you. I was chatting with Jonah Oliver, and he said something that just he's a psych that works with Cam Smith in the golf, and he said something to me that really resonated with me. He said, like, humans would rather the certainty of misery than the misery of uncertainty. And I was like, fuck, that's me. You know, I'd rather you just tell me something's not going to happen than be waiting for something and you just misery while you're waiting for something else. And I was like, I've just got to get more comfortable and be able to not trick my brain, be able to find strategies to be able to deal with uncertainty of things, which is where we started doing some work.
Can I just use spinal cord injury as an example to bring that to life, what he has said? Yeah. And now I'm tying in the woo-woo, universe, energy, blah, blah, blah. So spinal cord injury, there is no cure. It's not like, if you are diagnosed with cancer, they're going to give you options, radiation or chemo. Or it's like spinal cord injury, it's like go and live your life. In fact, we were told by one practitioner the best thing that we could do for Will would to be do no rehab, to let him completely wither away, because then he's lighter to to get in and out of bed and stuff like that. Like, that's the mindset you're working against in spinal cord injury. So to actually sit in any sort of belief or hope that you could get some level of recovery is like sort of, to some people, stupid. And a lot of people are like, you don't want to have false hope. Like that would be really bad to have false hope. It's like, what the heck does that mean? Like when I'm sitting in an energy of hope, so either spinal cord injury or IVF, when I'm sitting in this energy of belief that this is going to work for me, we don't know that it's going to work for you. We don't know that you're going to get pregnant. We don't know that Will's going to walk again. But when we sit in that belief, now the thoughts that we're having are producing a frequency in our body that drives Will to do rehab every day, that drives me to be, sit at night on a computer and look up, scientific papers, an energy that gives me enough confidence to ask questions of people. And so the energy that I'm sitting in, because I choose to sit in that belief, is actually opening the doors to more opportunities. And then it's like, oh, well, we're pregnant. Oh, well, that was a miracle. No, I chose to sit in a belief of possibility, and then that opened opportunities to us and drove us to take action that other people are not prepared to do. But when we sit in that, this can't work, it won't work, and we actually think we're doing ourselves a favour, because we wouldn't want to have false hope, that would be unrealistic, that'd be setting us up for disappointment. I say to everyone, I would rather on the day I die drop into disappointment that Will has never walked again than live every single day in disappointment that he has a spinal cord injury.
Yeah.
Why would I do that to myself? That doesn't make sense to me. So, yes, what he is saying is true.
And I fell in that.
Of course, of course. Like when the evidence is so strong, the evidence every one of Juzz's cycle is telling you this is not working. The evidence of every day, for Will is, hey, you're not recovering. Now, I shouldn't say that because he, I don't know what's going on in his body. But for someone else's spinal cord injury, the evidence is, well, you're not walking today. You're not pregnant today. Of course you're going to drop into that. It takes, we should have a word for this podcast. It takes work.
Work.
Yeah. It takes work every day. You've heard me bang on about acceptance. I've met this beautiful couple whose daughter is I shouldn't say this when you're pregnant, but I'm going to say it. She's diagnosed at 6 months with a genetic condition that is very not the prognosis that you want. And I was talking to them about acceptance, and that acceptance is not a place that you land at like, finally, I've accepted this, I'm at peace with this, everything's great. I have to choose acceptance multiple times a day. And what that means to me is I'm choosing to let go of the struggle of the whys, the what ifs, if onlys, the it's not fair. I'm just in that moment I'm putting my focus on I can't control it. Acceptance is not this place of bliss that you land at. And so we have to do the work every single day. We don't land at a place of being okay with a lot of stuff in our lives. We just work at it. And so when you came to me with how you were feeling about the fertility, you had dropped into a place of what?
Yeah, it was a place of, I don't want to say misery, but I was pretty miserable. Like I just didn't know what to do. I just didn't know what else to do. Yeah. Just felt shit. Had no hope, really. Yeah.
Yeah. I think though the time, I'm not hijacking your story, but the time that stands out for me that we.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. It was actually I was in a time when it wasn't actually. So the harder part about it was like, are we going to get pregnant? Are we going to get pregnant?
Yeah, we had conversations when you're in that misery,
the misery
hope
and stuff, and it was sitting in that just that uncomfort and just the hope and everything. Yeah. The hardest part was actually when she was pregnant.
That's right.
And then I was like, fuck, she's actually pregnant now. Like, what's this? That was the hardest part because I was scared of losing something.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so when we connected, we'd had lots of conversations, but when we said, okay, let's do some work around this, you were having weekly scans? Were you having weekly scans?
Yeah.
And from scan to scan, you were terrified. And you were running stories around Was it weekly?
It was weekly, yeah. The first 6 weeks, after 6 weeks, it was like weekly till like 12.
Yep.
And then we did it, we've been doing it like fortnightly.
Yep.
And now just monthly.
And so you were struggling to function because you had this constant fear of like, what if something happens and how would I manage that? Now, I said, coming back to our word of the podcast, let's do some work around that. Because me telling you, oh, Dyl, it's going to be okay, like is...
You feel good for a second.
Yes. Is not really going to do much, which comes right back to the does it fit. Like you just saying, I want to be more disciplined this year. It's not okay. What had happened to you was your foreground background alarm. Your background alarm was just sitting on the whole time saying, hey, this is bad, this is dangerous, you're in danger, you're in danger. And so you were constantly sitting in anxiety. Then when something happened in your life, whether something happened at work with a guest, that turned your other alarm system on, and now I'm in full alarm, and you're just constantly in alarm, and one was feeding the other. And now that alarm system is a very subconscious level. It's like the subconscious part of my brain that is designed to, its role is to keep me safe, is to keep me alive. That is wanting to protect me from danger. And it's doing that to protect you because it's like if I tell you enough, you'll do something about it. Because if I'm a caveman and my subconscious mind is like, you could get eaten by a tiger, you could be eaten by a tiger, the caveman does something about it. He sharpens his weapons, he goes to another campsite, he gets to higher ground, whatever it is, he does something about it. So your subconscious mind is wanting you to do something about it, but you can't do anything about it, right? So you are in this state of anxiety. So me talking to your conscious mind, and this is a lot of the work that I do with athletes because it's at a subconscious level they're worried about an injury. It's at a subconscious level. They're not running around the whole time consciously thinking about making a mistake or doing something wrong, but subconsciously they are sitting in that space of fear. So my job is to go into that subconscious mind and say, hey, all good, calm down. But what I knew for you is that if I go into your subconscious mind and say, hey, all good, calm down, 2 seconds later it's going to ramp up again because the reality is it's Juzz's body, she's pregnant, you can't do anything about it. So it's just freaking out, right? So to do that, what did we do?
Well, we controlled the controllables. We did what I could focus on. We went to a happy place.
Yes.
We recharged. Any time that sort of anything would pop up, I'd go to a fountain, like a water fountain.
Yeah,
waterfall.
Yeah, so what we did for you was we put you into a particular part of your mind. We got that frequency that we talk about.
Yeah.
We, through words that I say to you that effectively put you in like a trance-like state where now your subconscious mind is listening. I'm explaining this in really basic terms because no point doing it otherwise. And so now I'm saying what I asked your subconscious mind to do was to create a place in your mind that you were safe, that was free of all struggle, that was peaceful, calm. So describe that place.
The place, we spoke about water, and the place for me was like sitting under a waterfall.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd sit under there, feel like the water just like coming over I'd be moving towards like my head and my back, and it'd just be sort of water be coming through in that same notion of, again, that I mentioned earlier about sweating, like just sort of flushing out of my body. But like, to be honest, I remember 90% of it, but the other part I was like, wasn't really like there.
Yeah,
it was sort of like a weird thing because it was nearly, I don't want to say that I was like fully conscious, but I wasn't like, I was in and out of it.
Yeah, well, your conscious mind was in and out of it, but your subconscious mind is like a tape recorder. It's recording everything that's going on all the time. So that's why when people say to athletes, don't read the media, don't just stop looking at that. It's like they might be consciously not reading that, but their subconscious mind is taking everything in, every billboard, every screen, every comment that someone makes over there. And so your subconscious mind is listening to me. Our minds are very suggestible. So, if we well, here's a great example. If we're trying to learn a new habit and we suggest to our mind that this is awesome, so we are doing this new habit and we're saying, oh, I love this, this feels great, and, we're smiling and celebrating, then our mind takes that on as the truth. And so now it starts releasing dopamine whenever we do that particular habit. And now I've got this habit that my mind thinks is a good thing for me and makes me do it more. Whereas what a lot of people do is they're trying to get a new habit like going to the gym every day, and they're like, oh, I'm so tired, but I've got to go to the gym. I've got to do this every day. And our mind is taking on the suggestion that this is bad and this is not good for us. So it doesn't want to do that. So we went into your mind. We put this suggestion around the fact that this waterfall and this place was calming to you. It cleansed you of worry. It cleansed you of fear. And so we set that up in your subconscious mind so that when I wasn't with you from day to day, you could, if you were feeling that fear on, you could just either with your eyes open or closed, go to the waterfall and cleanse that out of you. Did that work for you?
It did. And there was other parts as well, like you were imagining, while I was there, I was imagining like strong heartbeats. I was imagining
that's right.
all those sort of things as well, which was really cool to just affirm to myself. Because another one of the crazy things as well, like with me, is I will try and catastrophize every situation. And even if there's evidence pointing positively, I'll always go, oh yeah, but this. And I just had to come back to the evidence and what was actually happening. Yeah. Versus trying to find something wrong, because I was trying to finding something wrong, you're actually trying to give yourself comfort. Being, oh well, if there's something wrong, well then there's something. Like I was trying to find it. Yeah, you came to me with some. Oh, you had some theory about how you were managing it mentally that was a little bit. Yeah, it was concerning. I can't remember what it was. What were you doing? Like, we make up like deals with ourselves. Yeah, deals. I was like making deals with myself. Well, if this happens, it's like. I recently have started doing some work with traders. Yeah. So if you think there's performance on the line with sport, like trading and money is a whole new level. Huge. And they make all these deals with themselves around the money, like, well, if I use that money from that account, that money is market money, so it's not really my money, so it's okay if I lose that money. They make all these deals and negotiations and trying to make it less scary for their mind, effectively. Cricket is a massive one where they make up stories and, well, the first 20 balls are harder than the next 20 balls. So if I do this, so we make up all this stuff where the reality is, let's look at a trader. I'm reading a chart, I'm seeing a pattern, I'm placing a trade. It's a process. It's actually got nothing to do with money. It's just a process. And if I follow my process, the money will take care of itself. And so what we do all the time, that's way off track, I know I'm good at that today, is that we make these deals and stories. And you had, if I think of it like that and if I say this, you had something around if I tell people something, then it will mean something else. It will mean, I can't even remember. But the reality is, and what I said to you was, the reality is you might lose a baby, you might not lose a baby. You can't, there's no deals you can make that if I say this, it will soften the blow for when I lose the baby. There's no deals that a trader can make that if I lose that money, it means something less. And so you are far better off to go, well, yeah, I might lose a baby or I might not lose a baby. I don't know. But I'm going to use the tools and do the work around sitting in the energy of I'm calm, I'm in control, everything works out well in my life, and just keep in that emotional state. Yeah. Which is what we did. So if people listening to this are like, oh, well, this sort of sounds like something that I might need. Was it hardcore hypnotherapy? It certainly had some elements of hypnotherapy in there. There's a lot of different EMDR, which is eye tracking stuff that we can do. There is hypnotherapists. Vicky, I would put Vicky in this category as well, working with this stuff that changes, our subconscious patterning. So if you're feeling like talk therapy with someone is not really
doing what you need. So talk therapy for you, your fear was going to come back 2 seconds later. As soon as you'd talk to your psychologist, it was going to come back. It was going to come back. Those traders, I could talk to a psychologist, but still when I'm in the act of losing money, I'm freaking out. Then these other modalities are really great modalities to get into the subconscious mind and fiddle with that.
And honestly, it's like comes back to the tool belt, just trying different things.
Tool belt, baby, yeah.
Tool belt and work, baby.
Absolutely. Can we talk tool belt?
Can we talk tool belt, and then I want our references as well.
Well, that's what I'm talking about,
all right,
tool
go.
belt.
This is our, tool belt it.
Yeah, because I feel maybe I predicted that we were going to come in here and talk around in circles. So I was like, you know what I want to do? I want to...
Some recs.
Yeah.
Recos.
That's what I want.
Recommendation on those.
Yeah. Because when I didn't know our word for the podcast was going to be work, but now that it is work, I want to tell them how to do that work. And I want to tell everyone, if you've got a therapist, great. Like I send most of my athletes that see me, I will also send them to a psychologist. Why not, right? If you can talk to someone is what I say. If that's not possible for you or it's really not what you want to do, then I believe that you can get a heap of benefit off changing your social media feed.
Yeah, man.
So that the information that you're seeing regularly is resourcing you, opening your eyes up to different ways of thinking and feeling and behaving. Have you?
So like I've unfollowed so many just like stupid accounts, like, things that I like memes and stuff like that. But I know that just keeps me on the app.
Yeah.
And now I just follow like so many, it sounds really cringe, but just so many like inspirational quotes or mentality or like just little tips that come up and I'm like, fuck, leaves you. And again, some people say that'll keep you on there scrolling again, but it's the quality of content. If I'm going to be there watching something, at least I'm watching something good.
Absolutely. My fave is...
Is this like on an account?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to say this?
Yeah.
Is Huberman Lab.
Oh my, that was on mine.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh
Andrew
my God,
Huberman.
Andrew
Huberman Lab.
Huberman.
Yeah.
He's a bomb, right?
Yeah, so I only sort of came across him like a couple months ago, but he's been unbelievable.
Yeah, so he's a
cool.
neuroscience professor.
Yeah. So that's who I got the breathing off.
Yes, Yeah,
that's
same.
Yeah.
Lewis Howes, I don't get a lot from him, but I know your listener demographic will like him. So he's a former pro athlete, NFL mindset. He's got a #1 mindset book.
Yeah, wow.
He's, just that general mindset stuff.
Yeah.
Dr. Mark Hyman, do you follow him?
No.
So he's a functional medical doctor and he just is talking. And what I had in mind when I picked these was those categories that we were talking about.
Yeah.
So he is your physical health and his approach to medicine is just like functional. It's really smart. Really like him. Oh, this one's quite new for me. Corey Mascara. So it's Corey as in Cory, Mascara Muscara. He's a former monk. Now I know that's where Jay Shetty started, but Jay Shetty for me got a little bit overproduced.
Yep.
Do you think?
Can't comment. I don't listen to a lot of his stuff.
It got a little bit like Hollywood for me.
Yes.
Where Corey Mascara gives really bite-sized little bits.
Mascara.
Little bite-sized positive psych monk type stuff that is really quick, easy, digestible, makes you think. I really like it. I've got more. Do you want to throw in?
Keep going.
Do you want to throw in any of yours?
Well, I'll just throw in. I had Andrew Huberman as one.
Yep.
My other one that I've got here of late, which I've seen a lot of, is Chris Williamson.
No.
So Chris Williamson, he's like always. I basically saw him a lot on like podcast clips and stuff like that. He writes books. He's a podcast host, and basically just like he will talk to a lot of people that are. He's like sort of a Joe Rogan, but more around this sort of engagement.
Cool.
Development rather than something else. So for example, let me just play you one of these things, and this is where actually the discipline for me came from.
Okay.
I'll play you a clip. This is when, and I'll tell you who is next. You listen to it, see if you like it.
Motivation is a feeling that comes and goes, and it doesn't matter whether it's there or not. Discipline is infinitely more important. No matter how you feel, get up and do what you're supposed to do. That's it. And that's discipline. It's not motivation. If you only did what you were supposed to do when you were motivated to do it, that's leaving it to chance. But if you're disciplined, you go do what you're supposed to do. That's the way it works.
So basically that's talking about the difference between motivation and discipline, which I
know,
loved.
but here's my challenge with things like that.
Yeah.
Okay, you hear that. So
Do
now
a whole episode on it.
How do you do it?
Well, what do you mean? How do I follow up?
How do you do discipline?
Well, I don't believe that everything has to be I think that everything that can be a gateway to the next thing. So it's like if I love that, then I go, okay, what is discipline?
Okay, all right. Well,
what
I
is
get
discipline
that.
to me?
Because sometimes I think little snippets like that, then your listeners go, okay, I'm going to be disciplined tomorrow.
And go to the gym.
And then they go and they wake up in the morning, their body's sore, they're feeling like shit, they've got that meeting they don't want to go to or their job site they don't want to go to, and then by 10 a.m. they've had their Big M and pie. We don't even know if tradies do that, but we're saying that. And they're like, oh, I'm so undisciplined. And then they've written it off for the year. They've pigeonholed themselves as, I can't do this. And really the problem was with the dude Chris for not telling them how to do that.
Yeah, how to do that. But that's I think that these are snippets that hopefully get you into, I've taken that as going, all right, well now I've got to work out what that is for me.
Yes.
I don't think that you just go, all right, I'm going to go to the gym every day and, be angry at myself if I don't.
Yeah, okay. No, I like that.
Personally.
That's
but so he's really good.
But do you know what is healthy around the discussion that we're having is that what you need, your feed needs to reflect what works for you.
For you.
And that you start looking at your feed as something that can actually educate you and start doing the work for you. If you're going to be on social media for 6-8 hours a day, make it work for you.
Yeah. 100%.
Okay. Can I give you another one?
Yeah, please do. Keep going.
The workout witch. Now, there's purpose to why I'm saying that. That's she is somatic exercises. Now, I've made this podcast around doing the work and getting into your body. So I've spoken about this freeze and sitting at our desk and the trauma in it. And Vicky, I didn't have a plan for this podcast, but I've done that quite well, haven't I?
Oh, we have.
We're
story arcing here very well.
So she is about somatic exercises.
What is somatic, by the way? I know
somatic
what it is, but for someone else who doesn't know.
The body, getting into the body, right?
Yes.
And so, on the surface they might look like yoga, but they're not. They're more gentle than yoga, and they're about moving the body in a way that puts the body back into that safety, rest, heal, that non-trauma, so releasing trauma from the body so that I don't turn up to, that conversation with someone at work or, my girlfriend that night and I'm reacting from the trauma that is in my body. So somatic exercises can move that through you. And so watching something like that will give you
she shows how to loosen certain parts or activate certain bits.
Like I can show you now if you were in a stress state and you were sitting at your desk, you can turn your head to the right and now you can turn your head to the left. Now you can take your arms and you can put them behind your head and now you can turn your head to the right and just hold it there. And hold it there long enough until you want to yawn or you want to swallow. Or take a big deep sigh. Either one, something will come automatic to you.
I can really feel a yawn coming.
Yeah, I've already yawned.
Oh, I just swallowed.
Okay, so then move your head to the left and again hold it there until you yawn or swallow or take a deep breath. So you just took a big swallow. Now drop your hands and now move your head to the right and you'll see that it can move more easily and you can move it to the left more easily. So what you've just done with that exercise that you can do sitting at the bench is you've just released that trauma stress from your body and you've now dropped into I'm safe, I'm calm, everything's good just by doing that. And those signs of the yawning, the swallowing, the deep sighs, the nervous system clicking over into that rest, digest mode. So she's going to give you little...
what was her name again?
Her name is the Workout Witch.
The Workout Witch.
and she's going to give you a little exercise. She's also got an online program about releasing trauma. So if you think your trauma is really stuck in your hips and you can't get to Guru Vicky, you're going to get on with her.
Yeah.
I love Therapy Jeff.
Therapy Jeff. Oh, I've seen Therapy Jeff.
Yeah.
He's on TikTok. Yeah, he's got he's really good.
So he's like little bite-sized bits of therapy.
Yeah. I'll follow him now. He's really good. And he's like very quick as well. It's sort of like, here, da-da-da, bang.
Yeah. I like him.
Yeah, great.
The last one I want to share it because I think we need to talk about him.
Yeah.
But we might give all our other resources before we talk about him.
Yeah.
Is The Angry Therapist.
Don't know him.
Okay, so The Angry Therapist is a relationship expert.
Right.
He's fantastic. He's talking about healthy relationships. But I said to you, I want to give them resources around social media. I also want to give them a book to read for the year.
Yeah.
And the book that I want to read is by The Angry Therapist. See that segue?
I was going to do that.
Oh.
But that was great by you.
Oh, you had that segue planned. Sorry.
It's okay.
Stealing your thunder.
That's cool. It's all good. We can both segue. Is this his book, The Angry Therapist? John Kim.
Yes, his name is John Kim, and his book is Single on Purpose.
Single on Purpose.
If you are single listening right now, best book ever.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about developing a relationship with yourself.
Love yourself before you can love someone else.
That's right. It's got exercises to do throughout it. But if you're in a relationship, the number one thing that is going to erode a relationship is if you're showing up not the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
And so this book is like how to make sure that you keep your relationship with yourself alive so that you can go into this relationship with someone else, the best version of you.
Of yourself, yeah.
It's one of the best books I've read.
I
love it.
Really look at that. It's funny, there's a meme going around lately that says, I read this book and realistically it says in like dot points referring to a TikTok, and I was just about to do it then because there's this TikTok that came up and I don't even know who it was, but it was like huge about relationships. You know, everyone says a relationship has to be 50-50. Yeah. They go, that's so shit. He goes, a relationship is 100-100. You have to give like 100% of yourself, you know, to it all. It's like if you give them 50-50, you're always going to be comparing on what 50-50 is. It's like you just got to both go 100%. And I feel like I've, really lucky to be in a relationship like that. But sort of a cool little analogy for, people in relationships or anyone that's single looking to be in one. It's you don't have to give 50. It doesn't have to be 50-50. It's 100-100. Yeah.
So there's my book and my social media. Yeah.
Love it.
Try and beat that.
I will not be able to beat that, but I will give a recommendation. I've spoken about this book a lot, and it's not because I haven't read anything else. It's more just because I want to harp down on how crazy this book has been for me. If I show you this, like the amount of like highlighted and little fucking weird things that I've got, bent pages and everything coming through. I do. I'm a big highlighter.
I'm not.
It got to the stage where I was like, I can't keep highlighting because it's just going to be the whole thing.
What do you do with the highlights then? Well, that's what I always wonder.
It's cool to come back. I've got like...
Do you go back and just read the highlighted bits?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And it's got like folded pages.
Do you really?
Yeah. Oh. Some more than others. Like folded for like really good versus like I've folded a whole page over for like this is a really good one.
Yeah.
It's by Brianna Wiest or Brianna Weist. I don't know how to say her name properly, but she has a great Instagram page as well that I follow. Okay. And she's got a couple books. This one's called The Mountain Is You. It's called Transforming Self-sabotage into Self-mastery. Basically, it just says the ultimate seeker's guide for those brave enough to face their true north and take their power back. So it's like for me, I suppose, there's so many parts of this. I've written down just a couple little bits that I liked out of it, but there's things
you've gone one step further.
Yeah, like irrational fear. I love this part about the pathway begins where you are right now, and it says to do that you have to be enraged, and like you have to go on, like when you want to change something so badly, but you have to be so angry about it that you actually do it.
Or passionate.
That's probably
some emotion that is connected to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Talks about emotional processing skills, so like jumping to conclusions, needing to think about things a lot more, which is something that I'm doing. Trying to get better at. Talks about the notion of being busy. Like being busy is such a I built my life on like this hustler's mentality where I'm trying to be busy, but realistically I'm just poor management and I'm not. I'm just filling the void. Resentment in people. judging other people and why you do that, which is a really interesting chapter. It talks about like why, realistically, if you're only judging someone, it's because you're seeing a part of them that you're jealous of and you see something in them that you actually wish that you could do yourself.
So many therapists talk about that. I really struggle with that concept.
I really relate to that.
Do you relate to it?
Yeah. If there's any ever time where I see something in my head, I go, what a fucking idiot. And so I go, do I actually think this person is an idiot, or am I just jealous because they're doing it better than I am?
See, I sometimes do look at people and I think they're an idiot because they're an idiot.
I think you can look at people like that as well, but I think there's maybe you just got to question what is that.
Like, I look at them and I go, I don't want any part of your life.
Yeah, well, that's a different chapter, I think, in the book. So she's great, and she reads this. She wrote this book, and she's got a couple other books. There's another one's called like 100 Letters to Yourself, where it's just like little letters that you can write to yourself and stuff. And the last one I will say as well is Mel Robbins.
Yeah, so she was on mine, but she started to annoy me.
Okay, well, she's not annoying me yet. I sort of like her.
I'll tell you why I put her on my list.
Yeah.
But then I didn't say it. I put her on my list because we've been very male focused,
you're doing the I wasn't doing that.
Equality.
I was just
doing
people
so I
that
thought,
I liked.
I better put a woman on there. I'll put Mel Robbins, and then
she's great.
I think I've just watched her too much.
Do you know the one that we spoke about that she talks about a lot is
5 second rule.
5 second rule.
I think she was great when she had the 5 second rule. Now she's running out of material, so she's
okay. Well, I really like.
And that was my fear coming on here for another time when I said to my daughter,
plenty of material. The 5 second rule for anyone out there we spoke about last time was when you get up, you want to do something, you've got to do it within 5 seconds.
I do like that. That's the habit interrupt, right?
Yeah.
So let's add that into our, does this fit? Like, does this fit? No, get into my body, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let me do a different behaviour right now.
With all these people, there's things that I like about them, things I don't like. You just take what works.
I know.
Take what works.
I did want to recommend podcasts, and then I thought most of those people that I have said, they have their own podcasts, and I just sort of swirl amongst that sort of stuff. So other than Dyl and Friends, I didn't have a podcast that I wanted to recommend.
I don't actually have a podcast to recommend either. I like listening to I like really weirdly, and this isn't weirdly, I've got to be proud of it. I like listening to Joe Rogan.
I like listening to him. Yeah.
Purely because I think it's really cool to have I love listening to things that I don't necessarily agree with, but I think I don't want to live in a world where I'm just surrounding shit with like the things that I want to listen to. So I think it's cool just to see other people's opinions.
Yeah.
Some episodes I'm like, I love this one. Then they say something, I'm like, I don't really agree with that. But it's cool to just, be in that space of like learning other people's sort of stuff. So I think it's really cool for that.
Daily habits that I would like people to get into their life. I just, full disclosure, I'm Andrew Hubermaning most of them.
Yeah, good.
Because he's the bomb.
Yeah, he is.
And so.
The Huber bomb.
Yeah. And you already said.
The breathing one. I stole that.
You said the breathing one, but you also said whether it's looking at the sunlight, I thought you've been on.
Oh, see, I didn't know that. I didn't get that from him. That was one of my own.
Okay, so this is a must-do, and he's banging on about it of late, like banging on about it. It's getting sunlight in the morning.
Look at it.
So it's 10 before 10 is the way you can remember it, 10 minutes before 10. But really you're trying to get 5 to 10 minutes on a clear day, 10 to 20 on a cloudy day, 20 to 30 minutes on an overcast day. So if you're listening in London, you're doing an hour probably in the morning because there's no light there. Okay, what are you doing? You're viewing low solar angle sunlight. So that means as early in the day. So once it hits 10 o'clock in the morning, it's too high in the sky. So you want to do it when it's quite low. You want to do it as close to waking up as possible. You don't want to do it through sunglasses. You can do it through reading glasses or contacts is fine. You preferably want to get outside, look at the sun. Of course, if it's hurting, you're not going to do it. You can blink. That is fine. And
thank you.
What is it doing to you? It is setting up your circadian rhythm, and it's meaning that you're releasing your hormones at the right time, the right day. So you're getting the right dopamine hits and cortisol hits and whatever at the right time in the right day, so that you have really great energy and focus throughout the day. But at the other end of the day, when it comes to sleep, you're going to be in a much better rhythm to go to sleep. Huberman bangs on about it, and we've already established that he's our God.
He's our work.
Yeah.
Man.
He's our man. And so there's a whole body of evidence around it. Now, if you start work before the sun is up, then on your morning tea break, go and get some sun. I like to say, hey, have a big glass of water while you're doing it. And on the flip side of thing, make sure from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. in the morning you are not exposing yourself to bright light. We had that conversation with Jazz before we came in here onto the podcast to say, hey, when you're breastfeeding this bub, don't get on your phone or your iPad or the telly. Don't turn screens on. You are messing with your sleep rhythm and your hormones. And why make sleep even harder when you're a new parent?
Yeah.
Just sit there and be present in the nothingness, the stillness of the night. Gosh, it's a beautiful thing, the stillness of the night, where there is nothing to do, nowhere to be. Don't turn on a bloody screen, breastfeeding mums. I know it's hard. I've done it 4 times, so you can't attack me on the comments. You wouldn't know. It's hard. Yeah, I've done it. So sunlight is my first daily habit that I want to talk to you about.
So much better than mine. Mine was just the same as last year, walking without a phone, but I still find that that's good.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's great. I mean, I'm not rehashing old ones. I still want you to have no phone on in the morning for your first 30 minutes, and I don't want you to press the snooze button. Yep. But your audience have grown.
Yeah.
They've mastered that. They're looking for the next level.
Thank you.
You want to progress as a podcast. And so the next level of your sunlight is, hey, I get up, I have my glass of water. I can even have my coffee looking at that sun. That's fine. Then I want to get ready for work. So I'm going to go and I'm going to have 1 to 3 minutes of uncomfortable cold water.
Oh, I don't know about
this. No, it's so bad, isn't it?
Every morning?
Every morning. Because there is a
gateway into that
body of evidence around the elevations in your dopamine and your adrenaline and your mood and your, alertness and your focus. Do I do it every morning? Not at all.
Yeah.
But would I like to? Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's getting there. It's like you're not going to go from not doing it to doing it for the rest of your life.
No, that's right.
A big one that I'm not going to say I do this consistently, but even a gateway into the showers is just like washing your face with cold water instead of warm.
Yeah.
And Pharrell Williams also said that's how he looks so good at his age because he doesn't wash his face with warm water. Cold water.
Really?
Yeah, apparently.
Okay.
That's from Pharrell.
Oh, well, I'm on it.
Yeah.
I'm saying like the sunlight is a daily habit. No one can tell me they can't do that.
No.
And if you really are somewhere that has no sunlight, turn bright lights on as soon as you can in the morning to get that bright light. So that's the cold water. That's if I'm advanced level.
So maybe we've got the beginners down here, then we've got the intermediates, and that's the advanced.
Yeah. So that's the advanced. Yeah. Back to beginners.
Yes.
This is my second habit. You've already said it twice, so I'm going to let you do it. The cyclic sighing breathing.
Yes. I didn't know that's what it was called, but the breathing. I don't know actually. I do it 3 times. I don't know how many times you're meant to do it.
5 minutes a day.
5 minutes a day of that?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I thought it was like 3 breaths.
Well, you can do it to like arrest anxiety. Like I'm in a state and let me do 3 and I'm going to calm down.
Yeah.
But if I'm someone
proactive, not reactive.
with what you're going through, you know how you said to me, I'm just anxious at the moment.
Yeah.
That is telling me I need to turn that background alarm system off. Yeah. So just 5 minutes a day, I'm going to turn it off.
Yeah. So I'm probably best you taking it. But what I do is I just go like, breathe in, a little bit more.
Okay. So look, we'll just make a minor adjustment to
that. Yeah, please do.
Minor adjustment, we would like to breathe in through our nose, reach the top, and then go again. And then we want to go out through our mouth like we're sighing.
Sighing, that was a big part of it that I forgot, yeah.
So dropping our shoulders down and away from our ears and really releasing that through our mouth. You don't have to do it with your eyes closed like Dyl's doing it right now.
Sorry.
Or make that noise, you can. But, yeah. And so I had this conversation with Oscar Piastri last week saying, start with a minute, man.
Yeah.
Try and get to 2. Try and get to 3. Start with your 3 breaths every time that you are suffering from anxiety. But tools in the tool belt, if you're someone who has that underlying background, alarm, 5 minutes a day, get that breath. Which brings me to, I am segueing the hell out of this. Brings me to the app that I would recommend for the year. Wim Hof, the Wim Hof method. I think his app is called Fire and Ice or Ice and Fire, but it's definitely called the Wim Hof method. Don't go the rip-offs. Don't confuse Wim Hof that it has to be in cold water.
Yeah,
so there's the breath component of Wim Hof and then there's a cold water of Wim Hof. But what Wim Hof's app is really good for, one, it works. How many apps don't work? That annoys me. Even getting into apps annoys me. His works and he guides you through that breath. Like breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Then it gets you to hold your breath. And so I would recommend to people, wake up before you even get out of bed, stick on Wim, do your breath, take you a few minutes. You've ticked it off.
So good.
Mastered that little bit.
I didn't actually know that. So because of the big thing with him is like, the cold water and stuff. So you can actually do it without as well.
Yeah. So cold water is.
Not everyone has like a freezing cold ice bath in their house.
No. And cold water is like, is tapping into the I can do hard things. What did you call it? Just get it done.
Just get it done.
Just get it done. It's tapping into that. It's also elevating that dopamine and adrenaline. So it's good for our, mood, alertness and focus. But the breath work is a way to manage that cold, but the breath work on its own is more around managing that anxiety and that regulating our fight and flight system.
Love it.
So they can be
I'm going
separate.
to download that. I definitely will download that app. I've heard so much about Wim Hof, but sometimes you need to be told about something 3,000 times until you actually have a crack.
Well, I think the cold water thing stumbles us, and his app, you don't need the cold water thing.
All right. I like that. I'll give you 2 apps. I went very conventional.
I thought you told me you weren't sure on that app thing.
It's a trick. I'm going to give you 2 apps. One is your calendar.
What?
Calendar. So I'm saying the best thing that I've ever done this year, since I finished footy, is my calendar. Colour-coded, everything. This is a massive thing for me to feel, I feel like I'm, really on top of things when I'm planned.
I'm uncomfortable.
No, don't debunk it. It's not good for me, or it's good.
Can I tell you why I'm uncomfortable?
Why?
This is
You don't like it?
No, I am a paper diary girl.
Oh, that's fine.
It's not fine. Everyone around me is at their end of their rope with it.
Well, that's you. Like, if it's good for you, though.
No, it's actually not, because I'm making too many people.
And also, the thing is, you can't
world.
really, it's very hard to sort of edit a paper diary. Whereas,
what if I scribble out?
This scribble's fine.
But what if I lose
mine.
my paper diary? No, but it's more about people around me. It's affecting their lives, and I've recently had some thoughts. Maybe I have to
get
on it.
Yeah, it's great.
Well,
I'll teach you.
I did work with you around your anxiety.
Yeah.
You're going to have to.
I will. I've got work, studio, personal, color coded everything. It's good to see a good mix of colors as well. Like, I'm happy when I've got a lot of blue, yellow,
so
black,
someone
green.
Says, hey, Dyl, let's meet tomorrow. You got to get in there and color code it and
I go
write
straight
it in
into
there.
it, straight into personal. It's all linked to my emails. I send them an email invite if they have an email. I put the location, the time, and also the venue of it. And once it's in the diary, it's in the diary. But the best thing is, if you said to me, what are you doing in 3 weeks? I go straight to it and I can tell what I'm doing. So I just love having that around me. So that's my first one. I could definitely do a bit more of a chat on that if anyone else wants to learn more about what I do, but there's a lot of people do it. The other one is another app that's on our phone that I reckon 99% of people do not use, reminders. So if you look at my phone here, I've got my calendar here, Swipe across, I've got reminders. So every time if I've got something to do, it gets ticked off and puts into certain things.
I didn't know that existed.
Exactly.
So
Do you like it though?
Look, technology just drives my anxiety.
But do you like the purpose of it?
Oh, yeah.
Thanks.
And this this is where the whole I want to spend less time on my phone, but my phone can really do the work for me.
Yeah.
That's the phone doing the work for you. I'm okay with that.
But that's good phone time.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable for me.
It's comfortable for me.
Okay.
Love it. Oh my God.
Right.
Have we covered everything? So I think we might have been going for about 3 hours.
Shit. Oh, you can't put that out.
That's 3 hours.
You can't do that to them.
That's the longest
no,
pod.
you can't do
by
that
double.
to them. I'm uncomfortable.
That's the longest pod by an hour and a half. Hour and a half.
No, I see. I'm grossly uncomfortable by that because people didn't want to hear me in their first episode anyway, and now they've got 3 hours of it.
3 hours, man. I feel like
I knew you were deep breathing over there.
I don't want to be Joe Rogan.
Sam
I'm
was
doing
shifting in
4-hour
his chair
pods.
and getting uncomfortable, and my brain was like, oh, "We're boring the crap out of Sam."
It's unbelievable.
Stop. No. See, now I'm not going to sleep and I'm going to lie in bed at night just replaying. Why did I went on that circle and that didn't make sense?
To be honest, everyone is going to get something out of that. And more the reason it went for nearly 4 hours. So you have to find something.
No, you can't.
It was great. Honestly, I really, really appreciate it. I'm going to print off all my my workshop, relationships, work, business, finances, physical health, emotional health, spiritual health, print it off, laminate it, put it in the bathroom. I'm going to start following those accounts, but also understand and give myself grace that these things don't happen overnight.
No. Gosh, no. It's just work is a ongoing thing. I can't speak. I'm so embarrassed. I'm
my God, this isn't a bloody.
The rebel sport guy is just gonna
to finish off. Sam,
God, you're gonna lose him as a listener.
The other day when you called me and asked me if you were allowed to go on the Imperfects podcast. So Emma's been offered to go on the Imperfects podcast, and she thought that if she went on that, she couldn't come back on Dyl and Friends. So we said we love Hugh, we love Ryan, we love Josh. I'm looking forward to that episode as well.
I love them. I think they do incredible work.
They're incredible guys.
And I never thought they would ask me to come on their podcast.
I'm excited for it.
I was like, Dyl's asked me again.
Fantastic.
Well, I'm done. I can't speak because I'm embarrassed.
Come back soon and we will do the interview.
4 years.
We'll do the interview?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll do that. If people want to hear it, we'll do it.
If they want to hear it.
Yeah.
Put in the comments if you want to hear Dyl.
Done. Emma, genuinely cannot thank you enough for your time. You know how much I appreciate our friendship.
Yeah.
And I just really enjoy it. Like I did not realise that went for that long. So I'm very happy to have been sitting down and enjoying some quality time with you.
To kick off the year.
It's beautiful.
I really appreciate you having me on. Apologise to anyone who didn't want me as number one guest. But you got me for 4 hours.
Thanks, fam.
See you. Bye.